Let's call to order land use board meeting. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act has been met as notice of this meeting was emailed on January 23rd, 2024, published in the Asbury Park Press, the Co-Star, and the Coaster. Copies were placed on the bulletin board in the Borough office, and a copy is filed with the Borough Clerk. Mayor Fox?
Here.
Ms. Hernandez? Here. Councilwoman Mahoney? Here. Mr. Marco? Present. Chair Mayor?
Here.
Mr. Maynard is excused this evening. Mr. Shook?
Here.
Ms. Riley Iordi? Here. Ms. Saracen? Here. Ms. Brunel? Here. Ms. Boco? Here. Mr. Sexton? Here. And Ms. Reardon? Here. Thank you. And also present this evening, Mark Hittrick, our board attorney, Gerald Frieda, our board engineer, and Christine Bell, our board planner.
For the record, Mr. Marco has been sworn.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Again.
make a comment. So Paul Murphy went from full-time to part-time, so he's doing a couple towns, so we need a borough rep. We had somebody recently.
We had somebody recently.
You just missed us, so.
Couple of procedural points for tonight's meeting. Be aware the meeting is recorded for transcription. The public is asked not to interrupt, comment, or in any way disrupt the presentation or the meeting in general. Once land use board opens an application, the applicant or attorney will make their presentation with witnesses and or professionals. The members of the board will ask questions and cross-examine each witness of the applicant as needed. Members of the audience will be able to ask questions of the applicant and the witnesses based only on the testimony given at the end of each witness's presentation. At this time, no comments, testimony, or evidence from the public will be accepted. The board may also call its own witnesses. Once the applicant has concluded their presentation, the board opens the public comment portion of the application. The public is welcome to comment, present evidence, and testimony regarding the application. Each person must be sworn in on the oath and is limited to 5 minutes. If desired, the applicant may cross-examine you based on your comments or testimony. If more than one hearing is needed to complete an application, it will be carried to a future date. No new application will start after 9:30 p.m. unless the board and applicant agree it can be conducted in a timely manner. Otherwise, it will be carried. The board reserves the final decision. The board will adjourn at a reasonable hour, and rarely will a witness be called by testimony at 10 p.m.
We do not have any new correspondence. I did distribute the meeting minutes from our prior meeting of May 16th.
Make a motion of approval.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
For the seconds I was there, yes.
Okay. Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Ms. Boco?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Ms. Reardon?
Yes.
And Chair Mayor?
Yes.
We do have 3 resolutions for memorialization. The first resolution is Resolution 2024-12. It's approval of bulk variances and a D6 height variance for a pre-existing turret. NLA Properties LLC, Block 25, Lot 13, 900 Ocean Avenue.
Make a motion of approval.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Ms. Boco?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Ms. Reardon?
Yes.
And Chair Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is Resolution 2024-13. It's approval of a minor site plan with bulk variances for Lee Restaurant Group LLC, Block 58, Lot 4, 415 Main Street.
Make a motion of approval.
Second.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Ms. Boco?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-14, approval of amended minor site plan for Bradley Lab LLC, Block 71, Lot 30, 110 Main Street.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Mr. Sexsmith?
Yes.
Ms. Reardon?
Yes.
And Chair Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have our consistency determination. I'll let Christine take over in a second, but this is for ordinance number 2024-7 of the Borough of Bradley Beach, amending chapter 396 again. Stormwater management of the borough's revised general ordinances to revise the borough's stormwater management rules in accordance with the recommendations received from the Monmouth County Planning Board. It was introduced at the Borough Council meeting on May 8th, 2024.
So, I reviewed this ordinance and found it to be consistent with the borough's master plan. In particular, the 2018 reexamination report recommended the borough regularly review the regulations within the land development ordinance against its planning goals and objectives, clarifying, amending, and updating when appropriate. Additionally, I found this ordinance to be consistent with purposes A and B of the municipal land use law, which are to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, and to secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other natural and man-made disasters. And this ordinance is revising the borough's ordinances to be consistent with the New Jersey DEP stormwater management regulations. So, I think we saw a different iteration of this, a few months ago.
Yes.
So our plan is make a motion to approve it as consistent. Make a motion to approve this ordinance as consistent.
Thank you. Ms. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Riley Iory?
Yes.
Mr. Marco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
And Chair Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
So in support of that, we need to adopt a resolution because we've now found that it's consistent with the master plan. It goes back to the mayor and council for public hearing and potential adoption. So the head note of this resolution would be the resolution of land use board of the Borough of Bradley Beach, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, following an ordinance. Chapter 396, stormwater management within the borough is consistent with the Borough of Bradley Beach.
Need a motion for approval on that? Yes. Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Can we do this collectively or collectively?
Let's go.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Riley Iory?
Yes.
Mr. Marco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
Yes.
Mayor Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Ms. Brunel? Yes. Chair Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Kelly, you have to repeat yourself from this one?
Yes.
Okay. I think you were the only one. There was no other board members that had to recuse themselves from the first application? No, okay. Okay, so, Mr. McGill?
Yes.
You wanna come up with your client?
Yes.
So our first application under consideration is LUB 23/24. It's both variances for a rear yard setback, Galena Group LLC, Block 68, Lot 6, 301 3rd Avenue. Applicants proposing to renovate an existing single-family residence, including the construction of a two-story addition along with a covered porch, patios, and balcony at the attic level. The applicants are represented by George D. McGill, Esquire. She had to recuse herself. This is her first time hearing this application.
She was no.
No, she's done.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
she's done. Yeah.
I just didn't hear the reason. Okay,
Yeah.
so, I know she left, but she can participate in the audience, so she's removed to the notice list, if she chooses to do so.
Yeah, she,
She can participate, ask questions.
I see. Yeah.
You have photos that you,
Yes, apologize for not having them uploaded.
and can they be removed from the board, or do you have additional copies?
I have a copy for you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a copy for everybody.
Okay.
If we could just mark that A1. Sure. Sure.
So A1 is a photo board depicting the subject property, and
Yeah, pretty much the subject property and the neighbor. Excuse me?
Could you move that back a little so I?
Like, no, we're back.
I handed them all up.
Okay, that's perfect, yeah, I think both, and Dick's.
Ready to go?
All ready to go.
Okay. I was just waiting for the nod. Good evening, everyone. I'm George McGill. I'm an attorney. I represent the Kalina Group LLC. The Kalina Group LLC is the owner of the property. The property is 301 3rd Avenue. It's the southwest corner of Central and 3rd. And I have here with me tonight Glenn Crooker. He is the principal of the Kalina Group LLC. He also lives in the home with his family. Though it's an LLC, this is his home and he tends to reside there. So we're here tonight looking for essentially 4 variances, all rear yard related. We have an addition that we're putting on, we're asking to put on the west side, and that's approximately, well, it is 18.32 feet from the westerly sideline, where 25 feet is required. This property is a corner lot, as I said, and it's set up, that central actually is the front because it's the more narrow of the 2 frontages. But the house itself is set on 3rd, so it faces 3rd, but because of the ordinance, the westerly lot is the rear, southerly lot is the side. So we're approaching into the westerly lot, the westerly side of the property. We have the addition. We also are proposing a wraparound porch. Unfortunately, the wraparound porch is set now at 24.97 feet, where 25 feet is required. I'm sure when they built that, they thought they were at 25 feet, but it's 24.97. So we're proposing to continue that line around the west side of the structure, and that's 24.97. So variance is required for that, and we have a patio in the west side, the rear lot, the westerly side of the lot. And we did ask for balcony, relief for balcony variance. We're going to withdraw that, so you don't have to consider that. That actually was an idea of our architect, and it's not really a big deal to the client, so rather than ask for it, we're just going to withdraw that. They'll design around that to get rid of those balconies.
So that's a balcony on the 3rd floor,
Yeah.
facing west. South.
Yeah, facing
South.
that south, right.
Okay,
So
so that's a limit.
yeah, it was in the side yard where it's not allowed to be. It was larger than it was allowed to be, so rather than ask for it, we're just eliminating it. So, and we have the overall variance because the structure is non-conforming, and we're expanding it, so there's that overall variance in the ordinance that we're going to ask for too. So I did reference our architect, Al Shasias is here. Not yet, Al? And,
I would swear, one up if you would.
yeah, and I'm done opening, so that's it, and, we can swear
Raise your right hand,
everyone in.
please. Perfect, along with our professionals, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Want me to do the little intro, credential?
Up to Mr. McGill.
Well, why don't we do that when you testify? You gotta testify second,
Oh, I'm sorry, I got you.
okay?
I'll sit back down.
Gotta read the handout. Okay, so, Glenn, you're the representative or the principal in the Cleaner Group LLC, right?
Yeah, so we bought this house in 2019, summer house. We did that for a few years, and then it was very hard to get my family to go back to Connecticut, so we moved full-time 2 years ago, and we're basically looking for space. So we don't have a garage. I have 4 sons, 17, 16, 16, and 10. Surfboards and bikes and everything you could imagine, and we have no place to put. Plus, we don't have storage. Like I said, we bought it for summer, and now it's to the point where we're looking to figure a way of making this a more suitable house for us.
All right, so you're gonna live year-round?
Yeah, we live
You are.
full-time now, and we have no
Yeah.
intention on
Yeah. So you're gonna do renovations inside and outside?
Yeah, so we're gonna renovate with approval. The house currently had additions put onto it that are subpar. They don't go with the house. There's a 1-story addition off to the side, and the rear, well, that is that's the side house. The south facing side has really bad little sheds and things that we would like to get rid of and make it all a uniform house and bring it so that it doesn't look like everything was an addition at one point in time.
So you have an old house, it's an old house, right?
It's an old house. A little bit about what I do historic restoration. I preserve and restore old buildings, so I have a natural affiliation to try to fix the outside of the house and bring it back to point in time when it was built. That's my goal for the exterior of the house, to make it more time period, at least look, because additions weren't obviously there, but at least bring it together, uniform the house, and go through all the exterior finishes as well. You know, we're going right now just for the variance, but we're looking also, we're gonna renovate the house and, roofing, siding. I have to bring the house up to date as well. It's almost like we don't have windows, I did, when we first got the house, I did a quick renovation to the old electric system, because it was not a tube, it was bad. And then when I did that, we got some structural deficiencies, so we sorted all that out for the first six months, because I had a time frame, because everybody wanted to use the house for the beach that summer, and then we got it in December, so I had limited time to get that done. And then we've been planning on what we can do with the house now that we're living here full-time.
Okay, so it's fair to say you're gonna do some work inside and outside?
Yeah, inside and outside exterior. The interior, we're just going to be looking to open up the first floor to give it, make it a little more modern, where, six people can run around the house and not be on top of each other, so.
Did you think about taking the house down?
Yeah, I have a big problem with that, just because I fix old buildings. It's hard for me to take the house down.
Okay, so the addition that you were talking about, that can be seen in the first photograph in the package, right?
Yes.
Upper left-hand corner there, looking at it, right?
Yeah, you can see it just doesn't go with the house.
And then we have a couple of close-ups of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's, what would you say, is that attractive?
No, it's not.
That's the correct answer. So, the fourth picture, that shows the westerly lot line, or the westerly side yard, or rear yard, I guess we'd call it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The next photograph, this is a picture of your property from Central?
Yeah, from Central.
Okay. And then as we continue, now what does this show us?
So this is the, if you're looking down the driveway, you can see there's a little shed falling apart, followed by, there's a shower in between and another shed at the end. And then you're seeing the other side of the west side addition.
And then the part that sticks out with the two windows, is that in
Yes,
addition?
so that was we can't tell it until we open it up if it was an original addition or time sensitive, but it was a sun, they would have used that for a sunroom back in the day where it was open. So they just enclosed it. So we're looking to take that whole section and make it look more tied into the house.
Now, this work that you're going to do, did you try to keep it on the same footprint and in the same line of the facade?
Yes, we did.
Were we able to do that?
Pretty much we were, I mean, obviously the garage extension isn't, but everything else lines up really nicely. I mean, we're building on top, granted, we're building on top of the already existing addition, so we're not extending any further out, we're just going up with it. And
Did you take into consideration your neighbor to the west when you were designing that?
Yes.
Structure? What did you do?
well, I mean, we talked about trying to do it any other way, because I've never had to go to a zoning board or land use meeting because I'm always fixing things that are existing. So we didn't want to have to burden anything. So we tried to go other ways. It's just, with the main house structure being basically a big square, I wanted to avoid getting into the integrity of that structure, just for my own stability of the main house. So,
You were in there already, though, when you first.
yeah, I've already seen a lot, since when I had to open up walls to do the electric, I know the framing situation. I'm trying to avoid getting into the corner of the house, so if I went up on this addition already, it eliminates, cutting into, especially the corner of that back portion of the house.
The need to interfere with the integrity of the existing structure.
Correct.
So, sorry about that, the roof, hip roof, gable roof, what is it?
Oh, yeah, so we're currently have a gable roof, we have a gable end on that addition. So what we're planning on doing, instead of going up straight up and having another gable end, we're gonna be proposing a hip roof, which will be less encroaching, I think, to our neighbor,
It'll be sloping away from the
sloping
neighbor.
away from the
And you heard me open our application by saying we're going to forego the request for the balconies, correct?
Yeah, so the balcony was just one of those things that we're looking at the plans, and because of the way the roof lines all come together, and us trying to bring the two pieces together, which photo would it be? So if you're looking in the driveway photo of that rear extension that I said it's an outdoor porch, above that section, it's still gonna be basically the same design, but we're gonna put a mansard around it so that it brings it to the house and it brings the roof all the way around, so it doesn't look like it was an addition. Because we were doing that, we were looking at the drawings and it looked like, oh, well, you could have a balcony here. But honestly, I have 3 of my children up in the third floor, and they don't need to be on a balcony anyway. It was just a thing that the architect Al said, well, you could do that, and I didn't know there was issues to have that involved, so we'll remove that without question.
And you designed the new wraparound porch, right?
Yeah, so the wraparound porch, last year with all the water that we got, and with all that rain, we have a side door to the house, you cannot see in the photo, but between the addition and the porch, there is, it's a half flight. So there's a big there's a patio there now, concrete slab, and it goes in halfway between the basement and the first floor. So you go in and you go down or you go up. And every time we have that monsoon rain, that fills up, the water makes it in, and we're pumping water out of the basement. So we're trying to eliminate that door altogether, get rid of the slab that's there. If we bring that patio around, it accomplishes that. We'll have a roof on it, we'll have a gutter system, that water should be away from the building, and then it also shrinkens if you're standing on Third and looking at the addition, proposed addition, it shrinks the face of that as well. So it kind of lessens the coffee here on the side of the house.
So you just mentioned the drainage. You know about the recommendation in the engineer's report?
Yeah.
And you're open to that?
I'm open to that.
And I was gonna discuss that?
Yeah.
Okay. We get everything?
And so,
Oh, the engineer would like you to replace the curbs and sidewalks as necessary?
it's necessary, sure. I mean, I think they just did a big project for the sidewalks, the curbs. The sidewalks, I'm more afraid of the trees. That's we have a small farm where the trees are. I don't really want to be digging the roots of them.
Sure.
That's probably one of the best parts of it.
Sometimes there's the, damage while construction's going on, you would fix that.
Yeah, of course, sure.
So, excuse me, now would be a good time to talk about that.
Like the drainage?
Sidewalk.
Sure.
So generally the curb around the property is in good condition. There's really no problems. There's a handicap ramp at the corner that appears to be acceptable as it stands. They have slate sidewalk, which is beautiful. I have it at my house. Those slabs are very heavy. But in a number of locations, I'll say 3 or 4, they're being lifted up in certain areas. So as a condition of approval, if approved, I would ask that those areas be lifted up. If there's roots, you have to chop the roots out, but these are old established trees that it won't hurt the tree.
Okay. Yeah, that's I don't have enough, knowledge on trees.
Well, they're
Just
they're
knowing-
all over town and
Yeah.
our neighboring towns, and believe me, those slabs are very heavy.
Oh, sure. No, so I
You're gonna need all your sons to
I
do
do a lot of
that.
slate roofs, and I'm working with little pieces of slate, and I
Yeah.
know that that's right.
But that was the point in our letter.
Sure.
Thank you.
Glenn, have we hit everything that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're just trying to make it so that we all fit well in the house. And we didn't talk about the garage, but that's not really.
Sure, you designed it, you don't have a garage right now,
No,
right?
I have no garage.
Why do you need this garage?
Well, I talked about this, we don't have storage for anything, and then we're on the top portion of that, we're doing a small home office for myself, because I still have to be up in Connecticut a couple of days a week, so I go up and I come back. So I'm here and working, and I was in the basement for a while, and I finally got a raise and got moved to the first floor, but I need some space for an office.
Okay.
So where would that be?
It's above the garage.
That's not an office that you see clients in or
No,
anything?
I don't see anybody. It's
So it's
just
work at home type thing?
work at home, computer work.
That's all I have for Mr. Crooker.
Opens the portion of the application up to the public questions. Seeing none. Close it.
Someone's raising their
Oh,
hand.
I'm sorry.
Please come forward to the podium.
Sure, thank you, my first time.
Come forward and state your name and address. before-
Sure. My name is Mitch Carp. I live at 303 Third Avenue, and I'm on the west side of West Property.
303.
Third Avenue.
Any question for him?
I do. So, been given written notice since I'm within 200 feet. So my question is as follows. Given that this is an oversized lot, about 9,500 square feet, not encumbered by the issues that much smaller lots in the Bradley face, with regards to the rear setback, and the rear setback is our side yard, where there's already a pre-existing nonconformance due to that one-story bedroom addition which encroaches 7 feet into the 25-foot rear setback, where they want to further extend the nonconformance by adding an additional story on top, of course with a roof, and understanding their desire for a larger master suite on the second floor. Can't this be designed to conform to Bradley's regulations?
You have an answer for that?
I mean, we did work extensively to try to not have to get a variance. And like I said before, it's just the construction of the home itself. It's framed out as a box, and if you go into the corners of those boxes, it becomes problematic for the structure of the house. So we did look at everything that we could do when we were talking about it even yesterday, and I don't see another place for it.
And of course, the first floor's already there.
My first word,
Right. And but it's a non-conformance, correct?
Yeah, we need a variance for it.
No, I'm just saying there's an existing non-conformance, is that correct?
Yeah, it encroaches into the rear
Right.
yard, yes.
And you're looking to build on top of the existing non-conformance and extend the existing non-conformance?
That's correct.
And there's no way to build the second floor, which is within the 25 feet. So basically pushing back that second floor to be conforming, and then not worry about the corner of the house.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so then that would be, in order to do that, I'd have to go into the corner of the house. It is exactly on the corner post of the house. So if you shrank that down to be, I don't have the measurements of what it is, but if you shrank that room down, you're talking about like a 6 foot, 7 foot room. And in order to not do that, you gotta go into the corner of the house, and I'm trying to avoid that because that's really the structure of the house.
What would that do
Especially-
to the preservation or the potential to preserve the house at that point?
It's just it changes the entire connection to the house. I mean, maybe Al can explain it from there, but it's the actual framing members that hold the whole house up. So it's a hip roof, so everything is down on your 4 corners. To mess with those corners is just not something worth getting into.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Please, George.
My name is Joel Goldfinger. I live at 205 Central Avenue, so I'm on the south end of the home. I'm not against any of this. I just want to make sure because now the new garage is now.
Do you have any questions, right?
I have a question, right. So with the new garage being added, it's now going to be kept closer to my property, and I just want to make sure that their drainage is looked at, that I don't have any issues with any drainage, that's all.
Maybe that would be best for the architect and discuss the drainage, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see there's a problem. We'll, not looking to have our property drain onto anybody else's property. Your property is actually higher than ours, so it's definitely not going to be an issue. And we work with possible. We might be doing dry wells or wet wells, depending on what Bradley wants. That we will. Currently, there are, I think 80% of my home they don't have even gutters on them. So we'll have gutters, and then we'll have to, catch that drainage water and then deal with it so that it's not going anywhere except for where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I think the fact of the matter is we can't have our property drain onto your property, so we will have to take whatever measures are necessary to prevent that. Assuming that would happen, we can't by law allow it to happen, so.
Mr. McGill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you and your client represented that you comply with the engineer's recommendations for
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
the drainage system.
So earlier, they agreed with our bullet point in our letter that they will collect the water off the roof of the house and pipe it out to the street. So that'll protect your property.
Okay. All right.
And your other neighbors as well.
Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, close this portion. Go forward.
Thank you. I'd like to call Al Shasias, our architect. Then if you would.
Yep. Thank you.
Al, could you just tell the board your qualifications as an architect?
Sure, yes, I'm a registered architect and landscape architect in the state of New Jersey. I presented in front of this board, I believe it was about last summer. Around that time.
It looks up.
Okay. Al, you were hired by Glenn Ray
Correct.
to prepare some plans,
Yes.
and you did do that, right?
Mhm.
You had discussions with him, right?
Yes.
What was the focus of your discussions when you were doing this design?
Well, from the first phone call, and then when we met on site, Glenn was really very concerned about the look of the addition. The goal was to modernize the house and provide some other, some amenities, garage, master suite, things like that. But he did want to preserve the overall facade to the street as much as possible, and again, to the degree possible, try to pull this addition into a way that's going to blend and complement the house, again, to the degree possible. So that was the driving factor along with the functional elements. Garage for both storage, but also for one car, as well as a master suite on the second floor. Older home, there really is no master suites. Without removing bedrooms, but with 4 kids, that's not something you really want to do. And again, there was the structural issues, and just overall, if you think about it being on a corner house, the character of the house is on the streets. So in addition to the practical issues of building on a street fronts, keeping the additions to the rear, the rear and the side yard, but off the street fronts. So I'll go further into that.
Sure. And what's the date of the plans that you have submitted?
We did resubmit for some adjustments, and that was on June 4th, 2024.
And you heard myself and Glenn both say that we're going to get rid of the balconies, right?
Yes, correct.
Any issue with that?
No, that was actually, one of the things was trying to find a way to tie the roof in, but keep the scale to a minimum, considering we're at the second floor. My thought was we would need to do, as Glenn called it correctly, a mansard roof. And when we do the mansard roof, it's basically the roof kind of goes up above the roof line, and there is a bedroom there. And I said, look, we're going to need to do, we can't get rid of these windows by code, they're egress windows. It could be a balcony. He even at the time wasn't really loving the idea of having kids have access to that. He did actually, before the meeting, when we had a call, told me I just didn't do it, mistakenly, remove that. So there'll still be windows, there will still be a recess in the roof line, but he does not have an interest in making that a balcony.
And if we get approvals, we'll submit amended plans.
Yes, correct. So it'll look the same on the outside. Physically, the space would be there, but there would be windows instead.
So I tried not to steal too much of your thunder with Glenn,
Mhm.
but given his profession, I thought
Yeah.
he could go into the house. But would you take the board through your plans?
Sure, yes, So the hatch is attempted to show what is new, because we are doing some interior renovations, toward Plan North at least. The garage, we would have loved to tuck it into the house, but literally the basement starts at this wall, so it really was impractical to build in further here. That would really require a lot of work and demolition of existing condition sort of things. So the garage is kind of attached at the front. The wraparound porch helps kind of scale it as much as possible into the structure. Within the house, functionally the main part of the house is staying similar: kitchen, dining, big living room. We're going to be removing a wall to open up the floor plan, which most people like to do nowadays. And Glenn discussed to some extent, there's what appears to be some additions that we believe were pretty shoddy construction. So from this point over, we would like to demo down and build back up properly. 2 floors, there is issues, you can see floors are sagging on the second floor. There's also a flat roof with probably been water damage, I'm guessing. So by doing that, we're creating a larger kitchen scaled appropriately to the size of the house, powder room, mud room, laundry, and then a first floor guest room. And in the back, now this is the the first floor existing addition that was mentioned that currently goes about 7 feet into the rear yard setback. That's at that 18 and change number. That is currently a bedroom. The goal is to stay a bedroom. And by doing this wraparound porch, in addition to alleviating some of the drainage issues they've kind of figured out as they've been living there, we have a small little alcove entry before you get to the kitchen, and that would also give access to the guest room. Well, it may be a flex room long term, hard to say.
And that variance that we need for the wraparound porch, that's a continuation of what's there, right?
Yeah, it's literally within, I mean, the survey could also be that much off too, but it's a 33rd of a foot, so a 1/3 of an inch. If needed, we could bump in, it just doesn't seem to make sense since we're already here. Just go continuous across. And this would all be an open side front porch, single story, steps down to a patio. I'll go into that when I look at the site plan. So that's for the first floor. Second floor, this is a little difficult to kind of convey, but this is the home office above the garage, but this is actually down about a half a story. It's not level with the second floor. Glenn went somewhat into the reasons as to why this bedroom would be difficult to pull in here, but one of the things, it didn't make sense to put the bedroom along here because you'd literally be staring at the neighbor's house. It'd be better to be in the rear yard. Structurally, this corner here, I was concerned with moving. We could probably do some structural gymnastics to work around, but Glenn knows from doing this day in, day out on the older homes, when you start messing with certain elements, there can be issues, even just temporarily supporting. But also it made sense to have the master bedroom out in the rear. If we were able to pull it back in, which there's questions as to, do you really want to get involved in that? Then we have a situation where now we're building partially on top of a first floor structure below. Typically you want to stack the plan, to keep, structural integrity and costs and things like that. But even if we pulled this back in here, question would be, even though it's a nice sized master suite, it would start taking away other elements. But also we would likely want to end up with a roof covering the first floor existing addition that currently doesn't exist, and that's right where you would want windows to be. The alternative would be to do a flat roof, and we're trying to get away from the flat roof as much as possible. So even if we pulled it in, I don't think it would resolve very nicely, and I don't think the impact on the back door would be as significant as maybe you might think at first. And we're really going about 7 feet beyond the rear yard setback of 25 feet. The attic, again, is just showing everything staying the same. This is now incorrectly labeled, is the balcony flat roof area, but this is going to be disguised by the mansard. So these windows will stay as is, but we need to keep that point low in order to keep those egress windows by code, or else the roof would just be too high and that room would have no windows. Go through the exterior. The bottom left, the bottom right on the plan, that is the elevation off the central. It's kind of like a secondary frontage. The way the house was originally designed and the way we're looking at it, we're trying to treat it as if it is a frontage. We are going to be reorienting these steps and matching pretty closely. At the end of the day, all the stairs will match, so it will be very complementary in detail, uniform across around this, now it's 3-sided porch. Attached garage here, and you can see what I was saying about how the home office is really lowered about a half a story, both to keep the scale down to a minimum possible, and then we're even dropping roof lines further and creating dormers, hip dormers that will match the existing hip dormers on the upper roof, single car garage door, size to fit a car, and as he mentioned, surfboards, bikes, things like that. The left side of the house, you can see this is the 5+ foot setback. That's what I was thinking of as a balcony, but is really just going to be a recessed roof. This is kind of a section looking at it from, we're not doing much work on the facade on Third. We have photos of that, but you can see the additions beyond here. Again, hip roof in the second floor addition here. Anytime you have a hip roof with the roof sloping away, it doesn't front as much and feel as big as a gable roof would, just because it's receding from your view. And then this is the rear yard facade that would face the neighbor along Third. And this is the two-story addition that we've discussed. This is the wraparound porch. Looking at the site plan, just some things to consider that are particular to this property. The patio, there's really, we either don't have a patio and conform or have some patio. I think it's reasonable, it's not an oversized patio, so that's creating one of the variances. The porch you can see here, that's that very de minimis infraction on the 25 feet, 24.97. I think that the more thing that you guys are probably looking at is the second floor addition here. So 25 is a requirement, 18.32 is existing. We're proposing to add a story above, again, for the master bedroom, which makes sense to have the rear yard as opposed to on a neighbor on Central. But I think one thing I would consider here is your ordinance is very similar to a lot of other towns with corner lots with defining a rear yard and a front yard. There's nothing really unique there, but what I think I would really consider here is if this was a mid-lot property, the neighbor, well, we have a 5.1 foot setback, which is the minimum required, 5 foot single, 10 foot combined, but in this case, just single yard. On Central, we're conforming there, that's the 5 feet. But the neighbor on Third Ave, if this was a mid-lot block, 5 feet would be the minimum to begin with, anyway. Now, 25 feet is more for this lot itself, because it's a corner lot, and that's defined as a rear yard. So I think that's something that I would take into consideration. So even though we're going 7 feet beyond due to the existing footprint, so instead of 25, we're at 18 and change, if this was a mid-lot block, we could go down to 5 feet, which would be much more intense on the neighboring use. I think that's about it for the description.
Are you done?
Yep.
So, will your design make this property more useful?
It'll certainly make it more useful, and in my experience, the alternative, tearing a property down versus modernizing it. And a lot of times you're modernizing an older property, you have to work in certain ways. It's not like you're gutting the whole thing and starting from scratch. You're trying to work with what you have. So I think doing these sorts of things, in addition to all the aesthetic improvements he's making, or plans to make, I don't see this being tear down anytime soon. So I think it will add to the value and make the structure much more likely to last long term.
Do you think the design that you created here is similar to properties in the neighborhood?
Yes, I think it's within scale, but I think more importantly, it's tied in as much as you can do to the house itself. Architecturally, which I think is important because it's such a prominent house in the neighborhood.
So we were asked by the engineer to provide drainage. Is that going to be an issue?
I don't think so. I'm not an engineer, but based on what I understand of the soils in the area, I don't see that being an issue. Sometimes it is. So I think that's okay. One other thing on the drainage, what I would just note for the neighbor on Central, even though we would be complying with the drainage requests / requirements of the town, a lot of the area where we're building this garage is already impervious. So that's not the area. We're not increasing impervious greatly. We're going from 46 to 51. 60% were permitted, so we're still about 5/6 of that. But that area itself is not actually where we're increasing the impervious significantly.
Do you have anything else?
No.
No. I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the board regarding this?
Yes, I have. The so-called attic, half story, what's the calculation on that for?
Square footage?
Yeah.
I have it on it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Yes, existing is 628 to remain. So 628 square feet.
You're not proposing any additions
That plan was just shown as a request of the plan review and also to show what was a balcony. But no, that will, now that will be staying exactly the same.
How do you access that, area of the garage?
The garage, above or the garage
The
itself? Above, so we're doing an internal stairwell. So we went back and forth with accessing it inside the house versus outside, but we're gonna be, when you pull in here, there'll be storage around here. You walk up about 60% of the flight to the level with the main floor, then you take a turn, and that brings you up to the, so it's kind of mid-level.
The roof where the balcony was, you're going to keep that like a mansard roof, a flat roof?
Yeah, it's gonna be, the roof will go beyond to hide what kind of needs to be a flat roof for sake of keeping the egress windows or windows at all in that one bedroom. But we don't want a flat roof look, so.
Is that where you're gonna put is that where, no, see, the air conditioning is gonna be in the back within an area that doesn't need a variance, not on that area.
Correct.
But the
Those
roof
would be
is still gonna
decorated.
be flat. People
Flat,
won't
but you won't be able to see it unless you
Alright,
prefer it.
okay.
Yeah.
And Jerry, maybe this is a question for you, I'm not sure. The patio variance, I see the notes in here about it, but I don't understand it. Because it talks about a 5 foot, and then it says the proposed rear yard setback is 8 feet, a variance is required. So I'm not understanding that. That's point 4 on here. On page 3.
So, their initial plan that they submitted had a bigger patio that actually encroached into the front yard,
Okay.
in front of the building. When we noted that, they also took note and they made a change and they pulled that patio back, so now it's conforming and it's in the rear yard. The rear yard setback, I believe, any deck or patio has to be 5 feet from any property line. So as long as they're 5 feet from the property line, then they're okay.
So number
Why does it
4.
say a variance is required? Even though it says it's 8 feet, but then it says a variance is required. It's just, the sentence is kind of being.
Is it possible maybe to run through the variances that,
There's only a couple there, but yeah,
how
they
many
should do
now
that.
that you removed the balcony, if you're asking for 2?
Yeah, but a rear yard variance for the second floor over the existing structure at 18.32 feet. We have a rear yard variance for the wraparound porch at 24.97 feet, where 25 is required. And the patio variances seem to have gone away.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
No patio variance.
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay.
The balcony variance is gone.
So what we do is when we write a letter and then we have to revise it, we strike things so that you can still refer back to the old. Sometimes it confuses all of us when we read it.
Yeah. Okay, good enough.
But they have taken steps to make things more conforming, which is good. I do have a question of the architect, if I may. And it may just be a matter of how it's drawn, but the building height, I'm concerned about how you show the south elevation. In particular, I look at the north elevation and I see that, you know, all the addition roofs are lower than the existing. But then I look over at the south elevation and I see the proposed roof that's higher than the existing.
That is just a graphical thing. I was more, the hatching was more to show what's in the foreground versus background. So that's more part of this, and he's going on that. So this dormer and the thing you see up here is all existing. And that's actually, right there is the same thing that's right here.
All right, I wanted to be sure
Correct.
that's the case.
That's the proposed peak, that's the new, that's the highest point of the proposed.
Okay, so
addition.
it's, okay. I-
Yes, correct, yeah.
Thank you.
The bump out, for lack of a better term, on the rear yard setback, the existing structure, one story.
Yeah.
Is that on a crawl space?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember basically going up there. It probably, it most likely has a footing. What I do on my plans, actually, the one I got a variance for here about a year ago, and it did, where we were going above, it turned out somebody did the addition very shoddy and there was no foundation. Literally the block was on soil. That's pretty rare, but I typically put on the final construction drawings, contractor to confirm that there's a spread footing, and if so, it can certainly handle another story above. If that's, I don't know if it's where your line was going.
Well, yeah, I was just kind of questioning it too, because it is a non-conformance where it is now.
Yeah.
And you explained why you felt it was not, couldn't change it,
Yeah.
bringing in some sort of compromise to eliminate some of that non-conformance.
Yeah.
But you're also going above it.
Yes.
So,
I think too, I think if we were to bring it in, it would affect more from a massing perspective, other than the architectural construction issues. From a massing perspective, it would probably, you really only notice it if you're looking at it from the neighbor to the south off Central. So, you know, if the issue's going further toward the quote-unquote rear yard in this case, you're still seeing, you know, you're still seeing a two-story structure with the roof.
correct, I'm just trying to find a way to mitigate it somehow.
Yeah.
We have a neighbor that is concerned about how far out that building is coming out, or that addition. It is an addition.
Correct.
Again, now.
Yeah.
Do you know how tall the roof is on the rear yard addition?
So I would look at it two ways. One is the eave, which is where you kind of perceive at grade, but the highest point would be from the grade.
What's kind of driving this is a 9,000 square foot lot, and well, like, there shouldn't be any variances at all in the sense that it's existing, a lot of things are existing in town.
Yeah.
I know, we gotta work,
Yeah.
we have to work around everything, it's a 9,000 square foot lot.
And you're asking for variances on the 9,000 square foot lot, that's a lot.
Okay.
It's not like it's a 5,000 square foot house, lot, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you're looking at 9,000 square feet.
And that bump out is a non-conformance, how long it's been, it's like, that's a problem, we get stuck with legacy zoning,
Yeah.
you have to adapt to it, and as time goes on, we're trying to see if we can mitigate it, change it, improve upon it.
Well, to answer the one question, it's 32 to the peak from grade, 22 to the eve, roughly. A couple things I know from myself sitting on board for years and doing a lot of these, a lot of times you have corner lots, it always has variances, would be one thing to think about. I think if you design this correctly, functionally, pushing that 8 feet, it would definitely require more structural work. But even then, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're still gonna have, if you have a bump out to 1 story, we're almost certainly gonna have roof line up there as opposed to a flat roof in order to provide the windows, because we don't wanna have the only windows overlooking the neighbor on Central. We better overlook the rear yard. I just don't, in my mind, I don't know that it makes, to me at least, much of a difference.
And because this is already there, this could continue to be there, right?
Yeah, there's nothing to say that, yeah, if he didn't want to build anything over there, it would stay there. It's been, I assume it's grandfathered, I don't see why it wouldn't be. I also think from the street front, if you're going down Third, if the minimum, I don't have great recollection of the entire street front, but if it's 5 and 10 foot setbacks, if corner lots are just so, depends how you want to carve it up. But if this was not a corner lot, this house could, the whole structure could move. I mean, 2-story structure is what, 20, 25, 32, it could move anything over
No, I get your point, what you're
Yeah,
saying, but
yeah.
because of the mid-block project,
Then-
you got 5 feet, so
Yeah.
it's not, it's not,
Yeah,
it's a corner
yeah.
lot, and it has
Yeah,
certain,
correct.
certain,
There's a good chance, I'd be willing to bet a lot of money on it, that this lot on Central was subdivided from the mother lot. This is the mother lot, the
Oh.
lot next door.
I totally
Okay,
agree.
so that's where the problem comes in.
No, I'm talking, but this is not for Central, this is on, still facing from Third,
No,
facing
I understand the
west.
facing, but my point is, as far as the location of the house on this property
Totally.
is compromised because of that.
We have a lot of
Right,
this.
so that is that's an obstacle or a hardship that they have to face.
So Jerry, what you're saying is when the house, the property to the south was connected to this property, before subdivision, then actually Third would have been the frontage.
Yeah, it would have been reversed.
Third would have been the front.
Third
then
would have
that
become the frontage based on our
Right.
definition, just like all the other houses. But again, and you see it all over town, every corner lot's been subdivided, just about, not many are left. So they're left with, it's only 85 feet.
So on the subdivision, under the ordinance, if it's in effect when it's subdivided, it would have turned that side yard into a rear yard.
Yes, it would have flipped, I understand.
And it's just that, part of me is looking at this, it's, you take an existing bump out like that, and you're just gonna blow it up taller, and it's gonna have some weight to it, with property, it's gonna architecturally look, has some
Mhm.
weight, it's another way of getting around it. Essentially, you are gonna be taking this all apart, you're just taking the roof off, you're gonna expose rafters, you're gonna expose a lot
Right.
to do that.
Yep.
If it was even kicked. I don't know what's the size of that exactly? I don't know.
17,
And how do you, I understand what the point is about architecture, making it doesn't look, so it doesn't look so strange.
Yeah. So the room itself, the new finished room with 2x6 exterior walls is about almost 21 wide by 13 foot 8 deep. One thing that, it's hard to say on this side. On this side, I think the reason we didn't take an approach of dropping the roof and doing dormers, which always is an impact to the interior, but in this case, we felt it was well worth it, scaling it down to the house. I think on the rears, how to wrap that around here, maybe there's some way to drop the roof, keep the footprint, but pull the roof line down a few feet. Of course, then on the inside, you would have some slope ceilings you'd be looking at. I think that could help scale it down.
I don't know if the rest of the board feels on this one, if it's a deal breaker or not, but that, that's meant from the rest of the board.
I think aesthetically, it adds to the house. I was in that house, and I was told that that was an add-on because of in-laws that needed care. And this is going back when it was for sale.
Okay.
And it had, you felt like that was a box that somebody had plopped on the corner of it because they needed to have people on the first floor. To me, you're improving the overall aesthetics of the outside just by kind of blending it in instead of having a box on the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I may be slightly prejudiced, I live in a corner lot. But I personally think it's adding to the aesthetics, not detracting.
And open this portion up the application to the public questions to the architect. Anybody?
It's hard to see behind the wording. There's anyone? Yeah.
Speak up.
Just one question.
So it's
Mitch
Steve
Clark,
Lee.
Mitch Clark, 303 Third Avenue. By my calculations, the master suite on the second floor is approximately 800 square feet, including the master bedroom, which is over the non-conforming bedroom, including the 2 large walk-in closets, including the toilet area, the shower, the sauna area, the main bathroom area, about 700 square feet.
Yeah, that's close. Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree.
Okay. So there's no way, because if that's smaller, and we don't have a 700 change square foot master suite, bringing that wall in, of course, makes that smaller. So I'm trying to determine why this is a hardship of making that a smaller
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Well, so anytime your development plan starts with what they're trying to accommodate within the plan, which, does drive the square footage. And then in this particular, then it's, okay, looking at the house itself, I don't see a scenario where the bedroom makes sense going on the side, because you overlooking the neighbor's property, it's a 5-foot setback.
Do you mean the same way that it overlooks our property?
Well, for a couple reasons, since that's 3.5 times the distance, well, actually, yeah, close to that. The other thing is, it'd be likely, depending on where the bedroom went, it'd be 2-side window versus 3-side. It seems to make more sense, you probably want the bedroom in the back door.
Right. But I'm just trying to determine where the hardship request is for the variance.
Yeah. I think the hardship is really more existing additions, that's what it would be.
Well, there is no, I mean, there's a 500 square foot bedroom in front of the house, so, I think it's fine to build bigger rooms. I'm just wondering
And so,
what the
yeah,
need for
if you wanna
is.
give-
I'm getting, my question is,
All right,
I'm just
so,
wondering what the.
excuse me. I was gonna comment.
Okay.
Telling you, you can ask questions, you can't make comments.
Okay.
At the end, please let me finish. I heard you, please let me finish. At the end, you have the opportunity to comment, and you're sworn under oath when you do that, so please limit it to questions.
Okay. I think you answered the question. Thank you.
Any other questions for the architect? Seeing none, close the board.
I just wanted to ask one more question.
Please.
So, over where your mechanical equipment is there an objection to continuing the fence along the side yard to provide screening and buffering for the neighbor next door?
Mr. Crocus said no, that's fine. No objection.
Yeah, because right now it's just, I know it's conforming location, and it is a good place for it, but it wouldn't hurt to have some type of buffering for your neighbor.
Run the fence in and return after the equipment,
Yes.
between that and the driveway.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Thank you. Okay.
Any more questions on the board? Anything else? Anything?
No.
Any other witnesses?
No.
Any other testimony?
No.
This is up to public comment. Please step forward, state your name, and also, yeah, your sworn in.
I'm Mitch Carr from 303 Third Avenue.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so you proceed?
I do.
Thank you.
So, I understand the protection in the ordinances are here for us, the homeowners and the residences, which should not be taken lightly. So I ask the board to abide by the town's ordinances. I'm hearing from the architect that doesn't think that 7-foot extension into the rear setback is not a big deal, but then again, he doesn't live next door. He dismisses the 7 feet into the rear setback the same way he dismisses a few inches on the porch. And I'd also like to point out that it's not a midlot, it is a corner lot that is subject to different rules than midlot is. But by constructing a 1-story addition onto this existing nonconformance, it further exacerbates the nonconformance and dramatically blocks the light into our house and into our yard. So while I understand that visually it's still going to be this, it can be 7 feet further, not to encroach on the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, close this portion of the application. be honest, I do have an issue with this non-conformance and expanding it. It's just, I understand the reasons why. It's my opinion, and based upon town ordinances also, that it's an expansion that maybe could have been figured out a different way. I'm not sure what it is, I'm not an architect. But I'm sure you had this discussion probably regarding this non-conformance and this bump out that is frankly just gonna stay there and just gonna double its height in a sense. And notwithstanding neighbors' concerns, I don't think we're so sure it's gonna affect air and light because it's small, but it's still an expansion, it's gonna be there, it's gonna be a presence. I kind of wish there was some sort of compromise that could come up with, cut it in half, do something to mitigate that, and also still you meet your client's needs for another bedroom. And then again, it's a big house, and now we're gonna make it bigger, and that's fine, that's progress, that's just, and I appreciate the fact that nobody wants to tear it down. It's a legacy home in town, it's been there probably since 1922 or so. So, I heard much come from the board, whether they agree with this or not, I may be wrong, and this might my take on it, if I'm wrong on that.
I have the same concern. I strongly believe that room could be reduced in size. We're adding another variance on top of an existing variance, and it's just exacerbating the whole situation. 9,000 square feet, like I said, that's a big, in fact, what is it, 9,300?
Yeah, 9360.
I find it hard to try to figure out how to approve a variance for a lot that big.
I would say,
Especially,
if it was a tear down, I would agree.
It could be reduced in size.
Can I ask another question?
Please,
Am I allowed to
we
ask
have
a
just
question?
no motion.
Yes, I can?
Yes.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to try to move in the second floor, now, in terms of support, you've kind of created, at least in my mind, a problem, because I would think supporting the second floor would be sitting exactly on the first floor. And if you tried to accommodate the moving it in, is it now going to be more of a construction problem because you're now, what's supporting the second floor? It's not sitting on the four corners anymore, you're moving it in. Is that making sense?
Correct. It's not that it cannot be done. It just generally is try to avoid it. Between that corner that Glenn referred to, where the hip comes down, he's the one that deals with the stuff in the field. I draw it up. It's no problem. He was very concerned with that corner because we did go back and forth. Could we pull it in? He felt very strongly, based on his experience being a contractor, that that's a big headache. So that kind of drove it, as well as the bed wanted to be back, right? The support below, we could work around. It is easiest if you generally go to the outside walls. Again, I call it gymnastics. There's easy ways to frame and there's other ways.
How can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, you could, on the second floor.
Glenn,
Oh, sorry.
hold on a minute.
I'm sorry.
Can we have Glenn answer this question in a little bit more detail?
Sure.
I know we rested, but then there were some questions.
There's some intention about this, yeah. If you could actually, just one comment before, step in.
Sorry for jumping.
That's okay. You could actually cut that building, you could cut that existing bump out in half, build new footers, and now you have full support, or second floor.
So you're saying cut the existing first floor?
Right.
Yeah. I think,
Reduce the setback.
You don't know if it can support a second floor until you open it up anyway, right?
what would likely have to happen almost certainly is what's right now the ceiling joists that are below the roof. those would get replaced. And that's where we could throw a beam in to support, you know, to your question. I don't think that's really what's driving it. It's more the upstairs corner. If we were to cut the first floor back, that does remove that room, because now it's only, what would I say, it was 13.8 out, so minus 7, all of a sudden it's 6'8". So now you're going into the corner again on the lower floor, it's kind of the same issue.
Construction.
I think, kind of just to reiterate what I said earlier, but to Mr. Shook's point that, you know, this is a over 9,000 square foot lot. I think certainly, you know, if they were building something new, there's really no reason to have any variance. But that room is existing there now, right? So even if you were to deny this application, that room would still continue to be there. And while they are increasing the variance by building on top of it, they're not changing the footprint of what's existing there.
I would agree with what you're saying, you're right,
Yeah.
because if they just took that sump up and decided not to put a second story on, it's still there, it's still,
Right.
it's gotta be there. That's agreed, but now, why keep going up on non-conforming? I know some people don't get it as a big deal, but it is a big deal.
Right, now it does certainly add mass
It
to
does
the
add.
overall building, but I think that's the only reason, you know, their only justification for having a setback variance is that it's already there.
Right. Because there's, much to say, I think, certainly. But unfortunately, it is going up.
Right.
You want to speak?
My point just being, we're trying to preserve the house. I could knock the house down, get into the, you know, square footage I'm allowed, and being that it is an old home, we're just trying to preserve that and make.
Understand, but we have no dog in that fight. You decide what you want to do with the house, you know, this is what you want, this is what you want, you're asking. for
No, I'm
permission.
just saying it is for the neighborhood as well. It is character that Bradley has. You just keep knocking the houses down.
I agree.
Change everything.
Well,
I think to your point though, Mr. Chairman, is the board has its discretion. You kind of do have a dog in the fight because you can allow this to be preserved, you know. Or who knows what the future has, right? But it is a 9,000 square foot lot and it could be built. And I'm not sitting here and I can't stand it when people come in front of my boards and they say, you know, we're gonna build something big so it's a threat. It's not. But you do have discretion in this matter. You could base a decision on the preservation of this structure. And I think that is valuable when you have a structure like this in a town like you have, you know, to kind of preserve the fabric of the community. I think that's important. I think that's where your discretion comes in.
no, it is, and I appreciate you saying that, because it is.
Right, and that's what it is too. We are dealing with things that are there, right? I mean, they are there, but we also are, you know, looking to preserve this house. So it's not only that things are there, there is a benefit to preserving it. This helps preserve it, but it would preserve it into, I don't know, 100 years. You know, it could, right?
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful old home, and obviously it's valuable to Bradley Beach's streetscapes and homescape, and you don't want to see it lost. But again, but you have to give the point that you are expanding. It's a bump up that wasn't part of the original architectural plan. It's an add-on that frankly is ugly. And now I just don't want to continue the ugliness to go taller in a sense. That's my point, I guess.
Sure. Is it, I understand the concern, but if you didn't go to the second story, is there a way to repurpose anything? I mean, the powder room and the mud room are 13 by 13 and 13 by 13, but you already have a bath and a shower and a laundry and an outdoor shower and a changing room. If you didn't build the master bath, could the office be used?
So
If you didn't build the master bedroom, could the office be used as the master bedroom and you just don't build the master bedroom over
office is really driven by the footprint of the garage, and we're dropping the roof down to scale that down, so I don't know that we would make the office smaller, itself.
But I'm saying, take the master bedroom, move it to where the office is, so you don't have to build on top of the space that we're talking about, and then repurpose something that you have here, a powder room, mudroom.
And that was our
shower,
original intent.
bath. Okay.
Yeah, so we tried to do that. We have elevation problems. Central is lower, and it's like 8 steps to the front door, so to your first floor, I have 8 steps. So to get a garage, we'd have to make that second floor on the garage taller, and if you stand on Central, it's gonna look ridiculous. It's just gonna look like, because I have to, in order to tie that floor in to the second floor where it would be, it would just make this weird, massive, almost like a commercial garage. So that was actually our first plan, was to put it on that side of the house, and we just couldn't get it to work. And then, this is where we are.
Are you talking about the physical reconfiguration or the interior reconfiguration of
I'm talking
location?
about just putting the master bedroom above the garage where the office is.
You're not moving the
Yeah, not
garage
moving it.
itself.
Yeah.
No, not moving the garage.
Yeah, 'cause I don't understand why
Instead of an
that-
office, putting a bedroom
putting
in
the
there.
master bedroom over it and just killing the idea of putting,
Then you would leave the bedroom and go down to the garage to go back into the house. So we were trying to bring the bedroom directly into the second floor, and by doing so, it raised that whole side of the house so that when you were coming down Central, it would be this monstrosity, really. I mean, it would be like commercial garage, in order to get that height, because we lost 8 feet from sidewalk to house. So, we
I think
did
that is
really.
beyond my pay grade, but.
I think
it
also
was just a
another way to
suggestion.
look at it, it's really detached from the second floor. It looks like it in this plan,
Right.
that it's the same level, it's detached.
Right.
So you'd either have to go up to the second floor and then down a considerable set of steps.
Right.
Which would be odd, or you'd access it from first floor. Most people wanna be on the main second floor for their bedroom,
Okay.
so that's.
No, that's not, I think your questions were
Yeah.
appropriate. Why not just reconfigure, and why create this variance if you don't have to?
Chairman?
Yes.
Jerry has,
Mr. Chairman, I hear what's, can I talk to my client for a second?
Please.
Sure, thanks. I
You
don't
want
know.
a 5-minute break?
Yeah, I wanna see if there's something else. I heard Al's testimony, and so did everybody else, but I wanna see if there's something that can be done.
Take a quick 5-minute recess.
Great. It's really good. I have a small question.
I tell you, one of the moving the longest stuff that you there's a couple of exceptions. No, we got a neighbor who's a retired cardiologist, and he's very big in the
You know, we had one, like, for that wasn't as well done, right? It was, conversation with your wife, like, what do you do with, like, advanced skill, like, older cities? It's tough because people are outloaded that, but information whether it's a Zoom meeting, we're going to do it again, but me as
Mr. Chairman.
Call the meeting back to order, please.
So,
Please, excuse me, please. Quiet, thank you. I know you need to get out. Town work.
So, Mr. Chairman, we did take a moment, we did discuss it. Mr. Crooker wants to explain why we want to go forward with this design. Okay?
We did put a lot of time into this. Me and Al went back and forth. Like I said, we were trying to design it for the other side of the house to avoid anything. We just couldn't get the elevations to work. This is our best approach to getting what we need for a family and bringing this house to cohesiveness, because right now it's, besides the front of the house, the rest of it is a mess. So George said maybe we would design, but I'd actually like to see what you guys have to say, and then just
Remember, just if you get denied, you can't come back.
we'll come back with something different.
Totally substantially.
New house.
Well, it's your call.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's within my financial capacity. It's just not something I want to do. So this is my best.
As I would, just for the record, I don't want to prejudge what the board's going to do. If you were to come back, Mr. McMillan will advise on this.
Yeah, it's a race judicata issue, and we have to come back with a different plan. I would just, well, we can address that.
Yeah.
If and when that's ever going to happen.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is get it moved forward. the way it goes. I think you kinda know my stand on this, and I make a motion to deny the application based upon the, non-conformance and expansion of non-conformance.
I'll second that motion.
Sorry, but that was a motion to deny.
Motion to deny, yes. So if you're if you are agreeing with the denial, then you vote yes. If you disagree with the denial, then you vote no. Ms. Saracen?
I'm conflicted on this one. I appreciate that there were some changes made to the original application that addressed some of the variances. And in terms of building coverage and impervious coverage, which is something that I personally feel most strongly about in this town, they're conforming, and I would hate to see a brand new home put up in this spot. So I'm going to vote no, although I have reservations about building on an existing non-conforming. But I am going to vote no because I would rather see this property preserved than torn down.
Thank you. Ms. Hernandez?
I am also conflicted. I think that the neighbor's concern is something to consider. I think that anytime a neighbor comes up and voices their concern, it gets a little sticky because it's difficult to, right? It's difficult to pass something that's going to cause somebody else grief because of the expansion of the RV park. Is a large yacht, a lot. I'm gonna vote yes.
Mr. Marco?
I will say this was a heck of an application to have as my first one back, everyone, so thank you. I echo, Ms. Saracen's comments, building coverage and impervious coverage are major concerns of mine. This application does conform to that. There is an already existing nonconformity, and the applicant has taken steps to make, this application more conforming, and so that I do appreciate. And at the end of the day, this is not a new construction that has all the flexibility to be able to build to our ordinances, and a structure is being preserved in our town, so I vote no.
Councilwoman Mahoney?
I think that's, we have the rules on setbacks for a reason. I think that this would, this is going to further expand the nonconformity. I think that it's our job to protect the neighbors. I do appreciate that the applicant wants to preserve the home. It's a beautiful home, an old home, but I just don't see the hardship considering the changes that were going to be made. Therefore, I vote yes.
Mayor Fox?
I vote no. I think for a couple reasons. It is a large lot, but it's not, it's something that it's the hand you're dealt on that lot. I think the plan was the best that they could do. I'm more in favor of renovation than tear downs, and I don't think it's, and I certainly understand the neighbor's concern, but I think at the end of the day, it would be better to build as is, build as the plan has been proposed.
Mr. Sharp?
Like I said, I have problems with over a 9,000 square foot lot asking for variances. I would have liked to see that bump out or addition actually redone to be more compliance of our ordinance. Because I just can't see adding a variance to a pre-existing condition that could be remedied just by moving it back a little bit. So it's a crawl space. It's a small foundation to be removed. So I'm gonna vote yes.
Ms. Brunel?
I vote no. I think that anytime you're willing to preserve an old house, we should work with you. And I don't see that it's that much of a big deal to just build a box on box and try to make it steadily work with the rest of the house.
Ms. Boco?
I'm incredibly sympathetic because I understand the corner lot situation. I think tricky situation because it's doubling down on already non-conforming structures. So I am unfortunately going to vote yes.
And Chair Mayor?
I vote yes.
The motion carries, the application is denied.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are excused.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. You got thumbs up. No better motion.
It would be really wrong for me and a new member to usurp people that have been sitting here working.
Not like you don't know this table well.
Besides the point.
Yeah.
So, but back to back.
Please. Please. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I just want to note for the record that, Ms. Riley, I already has returned, and, Mayor Cox and Councilwoman Mahoney are recused from the next three applications because they involve use variance.
Right, so that members of the public, elected officials cannot hear use variances. Our elected officials left, not because they're not interested in the application, they can't even hear the application. Right?
Okay, and another, notation, Mr. Stone, I do have, signed certifications from Mr. Marco and, Ms. Hernandez. They were not present for the hearing in March. Everyone else is eligible and they were here for the first
I
hearing.
should tell you that it's my intent to proceed as if, because I wasn't here in March.
Okay.
So I'm going to proceed quickly as if I'm just starting the application in March.
Okay. All right, so our,
So for the record, you're starting anew.
Sorry, I don't know how much,
we didn't get very far.
we didn't get.
No, we didn't.
So as a result, the certification issue is not an issue.
No.
But we have it. Okay. We've been there before too. So the next application under consideration is LUB 23/28. It's for use and bulk variances for addition to an existing garage structure. Robert Gallows, block 81, lot 4, 27.5 Pacific Avenue. Applicants proposing an addition to the existing garage by enclosing the area under the existing second floor cantilever of the garage. The proposed improvements require variance approval from the board regarding use and side yard setbacks. This was partially heard on March 21st, 2024. Mr. Gallows has retained counsel, so Mr. Stone will be representing Mr. Gallows this evening.
Yeah.
Please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, my name is Richard Stone, from the firm of Stone Media. Some of you may know me, others may not. I'm privileged tonight to have two applications. I should remind some of you that there was a time for about 30 years in which I sat in Mark's seat, and I retired from that position thinking that I was going to retire entirely, and here I am. So, didn't seem to work out quite as I planned, but it's always fun to come back to Granby Beach. So, Rob Gallows came to me a couple of months ago, told me he started the application for a piece of property located at 27.5 Pacific Avenue, which some of you probably know it's near Dick's Restaurant. And he had some issues that he had to deal with. I explained to him that these things have to be procedurally correct. I felt as though it was necessary, since we were dealing with both a D and a C variance, that we engage experts to present his application. He is going to, I'm going to present to you the architect, Mr. Paul Lawrence. He'll explain to you what's there, what the plan is, and some of the things I'd like you to take note of, particularly the reduction of a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom, which I think goes a long way to satisfy the things that Granby Beach and this board likes to hear. I also have Allison Corcoran. Allison, I'm sure Ms. Corcoran has been before this board many times and is qualified, and she and I and the client have reviewed some of the things that are pertinent. I will present her. She will provide you with the information to support the necessary criteria, and then we'll open it up. Mr. Gallows will answer any of your questions, as will I. So I'd like to call Mr. Lawrence first.
So why don't we have everybody come up, we'll swear to the end, and then Ms. Bell, Mr. Frieda, Mr. Gallows, raise your right hand, please. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so they proceed.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, would you come a little closer? Becky, why don't you come close enough so we can pick up the mic? Mr. Lawrence, will you state your full name, please?
Paul Lawrence, L-W-R-A-N-C.
What is your business or occupation?
I'm an architect. I have been for 30 years in locally.
Can you tell me what licenses you hold?
New Jersey State Architectural License.
Okay. In that regard, have you ever testified before a board before?
I have.
Can you give us some of the examples before whom you appeared?
Mr. Stone, I think we're.
Okay? Okay, so if you're now qualified, what I'm asking you to do is, can you walk the board through exactly what is at the site and what is proposed by Mr. Gallows?
Sure. It's a small 2-car garage with a 2-bedroom apartment problem. And basically what we're doing is the apartment goes over the garage doors and extends out about 7 foot 4 inches. We're expanding the garage because it's a little on the underside, so you can't get a car in there and storage for bicycles and whatnot. So we're coming out, not changing the footprint. We're eliminating one of the bedrooms to give more living space, so it becomes a 1-bedroom apartment. And we're taking back the decks because there's an existing overhang over the property line, so it's 9 bedrooms.
I do have a question. Is there a laundry facility on the first floor?
In the garage.
In the garage. So does that make the first floor livable, habitable space if there's no bathroom, bedrooms, and
No, it's just utility.
there's no kitchen on the first floor?
No.
So the only reason you're bringing the washer dryer to the first floor is for convenience until being
To have
garage?
one, yes.
And it's not necessary to be in the second floor, that laundry area?
It would be nice, but it's not necessary.
But I have nothing further to say.
Any questions? from the board? So I guess this one question is, you still are, your intention is still to straighten out the front of the building, expand it underneath, so that the garage was face forward?
We're putting, besides new siding, new windows, complete upgrade of the house, we're doing a new roof with the entire house. So it's a shallow gable that's going north-south. We're making it much more attractive for both from the property itself and from Dick's, it would be much more attractive.
I don't think he's the person to ask, but you do realize this is total non-conformance of, it's a second dwelling on this undersized property, which any expansion of a non-conforming property is not allowed.
Okay, so one of the things.
Gussing it up is not.
Okay. I wanted him to express to you how aesthetically it improved. In regard to addressing the issue of the D variance, I leave that to Ms. Corcoran.
Okay.
I think what she's going to emphasize, because I know this, is that the improvement to the property is the take back of the second bedroom. But I'll leave her to address the statutory requirement. Okay?
So, we'll deal with the aesthetics of it now. The roof line stays the same, height, no change.
No, the roof line changes. It's a new roof structure that's going on in the house.
The height changes, higher or lower.
If you could, when you, during this part, just, if you could identify, this, there's two buildings, correct?
So we have the front primary residence and then the garage apartment at the back.
So
And
which
this is the structure we're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
And I will also remind Mr. Chairman of the Board that this is an existing non-conformity.
Correct.
So the two dwellings have long pre-existed this application. What this application does in balance, it retains the existing roof structure because it's there, it's not going anyplace. The non-conformities which will be addressed as well by Ms. Corcoran. But in addition, there's a reduction from 2 bedrooms to 1 bedroom, and I believe that substantially outweighs any detriment. But I guess I have to persuade you.
I interrupt.
You were asking about the roof line.
Right.
We're gaining 4 feet of roof, but it's not living space. It's-
No, I understand previous testimony the last time was discussed that the roof line was going up because of low ceiling heights inside the property, inside the structure.
But it's already living space.
I understand for those who are low ceilings in there, that's what's driving this. So as the building gets taller.
Although in balance, we're reducing the intensity.
I hear, no, I hear, it's quite clear. Any other questions?
I have a question, just the existing garage right now, how many, does it hold 1 car?
I can take that. I can barely fit my smallest horsepower in the garage without this much space.
Do you know what the dimensions of the garage are currently?
So 19 and a half front to back by 22.8 roughly, side to side.
And Jerry, what's the typical garage down?
20 by 20 is a small garage.
And that was 19 by,
On the inside of the 19, I say 19 and a half by 22.8.
So it right now exists as a small garage.
And what are you proposing?
We're adding 7'4" to that, but on the inside, the width would stay the same, the depth would become 26 inches.
So that would adequately fit 2 cars could park in the garage. It would leave room for utilities in the back and a washer and dryer. Also leave room on the back wall for storage and things that are necessary in the garage. It's not an oversized garage at all.
No, it's a living, it's a dwelling.
But the dwelling above isn't being changed.
Yes, it is.
No.
The roof line.
Well, the roof line, so the volume, but it's not expanding outward.
No, it actually, the use is diminishing to 2 to 1 bed.
Well, I think they have a planner that'll.
Right, but I won't discuss it yet. We're gonna have it.
But they're really only expanding the lower floor, so they can fit 2 cars in the garage.
So then we go back, Mr. Chairman, 2 things. Reducing the bedroom, adding enough space for a vehicle, was a two-bed instead of one. Didn't you get that? Yeah.
Any other further questions from the board?
Why is this not considered a garage apartment? I mean, it's not 800 square feet. Is it the two bedrooms that does it?
I think it's oversized. It's, first of all, this goes before, probably before zoning and such. It's really a legacy.
Oh, I'm not doubting any of that.
No,
It's just-
technically, we have two houses on one property.
Right.
And that's the crux of the matter. We have two houses on one property.
But my question is, why is this, it seems, I mean, Jerry, maybe you can help me. What's the definition of a garage apartment in town? It's like 800 square feet.
I think it's 600 square feet.
Is it 600?
Yeah.
Okay. that's-
Of living space.
All right.
So this is well beyond that, but it's existing.
All right, that answers my question.
In terms of your point, though, it's, the property is only 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You can't, you're not even allowed to have a garage apartment on this property this size.
But I have to emphasize again.
It is existing.
It's a pre-existing non-conforming.
It's a stone, yeah.
Right.
That's what we deal with.
And I wanna point out to you for comparison, the master bedroom in the last application is 700 square.
They got the lights on.
For example, I just wrote out,
Seven. All right,
She broke the chair.
She broke the chair. Any
that's
questions?
not the intention to be, that's
Why we can't have
that's
ice
doing
cream?
compensation.
Seeing, I'll open this up to the public for public questions of the architect.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Mr. Lawrence, how many square feet are on the second floor that are needed on square footage addition?
Yeah, but that's the point, he's asking about living space, which is on the inside of the wall, so.
Sure.
Seven hundred and one square feet.
701 square feet.
Any other questions, public, for the architect, Mr. Lawrence? Seeing none? Stone?
Okay, I'll call, Ms. Crawford.
Don't mind. Not my first hearing this week.
professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm also certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I've had my license and certification almost 20 years now. In that time, I've been accepted as an expert witness in front of boards in more than 100 communities throughout the state. I like to stick to Monmouth, Ocean, and Middlesex counties because this is where I live, and I don't live to drive long distances at night anymore. I have appeared here in Bradley Beach previously. It's been a few years.
I would move this course ahead.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to let you take us to the next page.
Sure. The subject site that we're looking at in this application is 4,900.5 square feet. It's a little undersized. It's got frontage on Pacific Avenue, and the site contains 2 single-family dwellings. There's that front house, and then there's the garage with apartment in the rear that is a pre-existing non-conforming second dwelling unit. The surrounding properties in this area contain a mix of residential uses, that's mostly to the north, south, and east, and commercial uses to the west, with the parking lot for VIX being adjacent to the rear of this property, very, very close to the structure that we're talking about tonight. The applicant proposes to renovate this rear dwelling unit, and the improvements include reducing the number of bedrooms from 2 to 1, expanding that ground level garage space beneath the existing dwelling above it, realigning the roof in a manner that will allow for future solar panel installation, but that is not proposed at this time. Removing the chimney structure at the rear of the property that is adjacent to the parking lot for VIX, and this chimney is in poor condition, and removing a portion of the second floor landing, which currently extends over the adjacent property. The site is located in the R1 single-family zone, and 2 principal dwellings on a lot are not permitted, so the applicant is requesting a D2 variance for the expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. This site has a couple of bulk variances that are unchanged by the application. That's lot area, lot width, the side yard for the front dwelling, the rear yard for the rear dwelling, and lot coverage. And there are variances which are slightly increased, and this is side yard and second side yard for the rear dwelling. This is a technical variance. It's due to the expansion of that first floor garage space in line with the existing walls, which are already non-conforming. It's my opinion that special reasons exist for the granting of the requested variances, and the variances can be granted without detriment to the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. So when we're looking at a D2 variance, the special reasons concept here is a little different than for a D1 variance. The New Jersey Supreme Court in the Burbridge versus the governing body of Mine Hill Township decision examined the criteria that a board would look at when you're considering a D2 variance. The court determined the special reasons concept applied to the expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use is a little bit different, as the use is pre-existing, and things such as appearance, aesthetics, compatibility with the surrounding area become uniquely significant, especially if there is no evidence that the use will be discontinued. In this instance, the lot in question has 2 pre-existing single-family dwellings on the lot. There is no evidence that this condition is going to be discontinued in the near future. When we look at this expansion, it's more of a technical expansion here, it's minor. The primary expansion is to the first floor garage, and there's a secondary expansion by a slight increase in the height of the structure by realigning that roof. And despite the expansion of the structure in terms of square footage on the ground floor and the higher roof, the intensity of the use overall is being reduced by the elimination of a bedroom. So it's my opinion that when we look at this expansion, there are significant benefits that are proposed by this expansion and renovation. The first is the improvement to the aesthetic impact of the structure. Usually the changes to a garage dwelling are not as significant to the public because they're not as highly visible. But this structure is unique in that it is highly visible to the public on the rear side where there's a heavily used commercial parking lot. So it's therefore more significant than your typical garage apartment structure would be. There is a reduction here in the actual number of bedrooms, which is a reduction in the intensity of the use. The portion of the second floor landing, which extends currently onto the neighbor's property, is going to be eliminated, so we're eliminating that encroachment. The chimney at the rear of the building is being removed, which in my opinion is a public safety issue, so it eliminates risk associated with that structure. And we are creating a new roof line by reorienting the roof, which would in the future support solar panel installation. Then we have bulk variances that the applicant's requesting. It's my opinion that these are supportable. There are several existing bulk variances that are not being altered. We can be granted under the C1 hardship standard, the lot area lot width, side yard for the front dwelling, rear yard for the rear dwelling, the lot coverage. And then we have those two existing variances that are being increased, the two altered variances. And both of these are due to the ground floor expansion of the garage, which is in line with the existing facade lines, so it can also be granted under the C1 hardship standard. And then it's the side yard and the second side yard for the rear dwelling. As the variances here are all existing conditions which are not altered or are due to existing non-conforming conditions which dictate the location of the proposed addition, these can again be granted under the hardship standard. The second side of the test for variance is whether or not there's detriment. It's my opinion that there's no detriment that results from the requested D variance or from the requested bulk variance. It's again, increase to the use is minor. There's a decrease in the intensity of the use from the reduction in the number of bedrooms. So while we're increasing the size, we're decreasing the intensity. There's no increase in parking demand associated with this because we're eliminating a bedroom. And then the last test is whether or not it impairs the intent and purpose of your master plan development ordinance. Here we have an addition that's limited and does not increase the intensity of the use, but rather it decreases the intensity of the use. And the application also advances master plan goals. Two of those are to continue to be a stable and diverse community through the provision of a balanced land use pattern. And the single-family character of the borough is a very important asset. The rehabilitation and infill of housing stock should be encouraged where appropriate while maintaining the character, scale, and privacy of the established residential neighborhoods in the borough. And this application achieves that goal. So for those reasons, it's my opinion that special reasons do exist for the granting of the requested use variance and positive reasons for the bulk variances. That they can be granted without detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the public. And they would result in an improvement of the site which is consistent with the goals of your master plan.
Well stated.
That was articulate.
It was, no, right to the point.
And as usual, Allison Crawford does a better job as a lawyer.
Any questions? And opens up the public. Go this portion of the application up to the public comment.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Ms.
Raise
Coffin.
your right hand, please, do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
It's
truth?
questions.
He said comment.
Oh, he said.
I'm sorry. I misspoke. I apologize.
It's not our first rodeo.
I misspoke.
Okay.
I often have to remind you that.
Sometimes you do.
But for questions,
Oh, sure, Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Ms. Coffin, I didn't hear you address the parking. Does the new setup for the parking garage improve the parking utilization on the property between the two houses?
Yes, because it would absolutely allow for 2 full parking spaces in that structure, where right now it's not really deep enough to accommodate any but the shortest cars. It doesn't have full 20 feet.
Sure, thank you.
Sorry about that. Sorry. I don't see any other questions. Close that portion. Any other comments from the board?
And no changes are being made to the other
No
structure?
change.
Open this portion of the application up for comments.
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue.
Swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, in the proceeding?
Yes, I do. These are interesting applications for the board due to the pre-existing non-conformity. As the chairman pointed out, these were built before zoning. So we are going to have to deal with them. I think the applicant has done a stellar job in not increasing at all, but reducing the utilization and increasing the flexibility of the parking. So, based on the testimony tonight, I would say this is an excellent application. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else? Jerry, you have that?
Nothing to add.
Please. Who was the increase?
Correct.
Reason? Why was the roof increased?
Low headroom, from what I understand. And that was
nice pitch on the roof to make it aesthetically pleasing.
Anything else, Mr. Summation?
I'll submit on the record. I'm ready for it.
To be honest with you, my initial reaction to this whole thing was, nah, because two properties. The fact that it's up against, hard up against Dick's parking lot is a mitigating factor. And you have a commercial property right behind it. And it's really, this is a tough piece of property. And like I said, my first initial reaction was to massive. Your Wisconsin's examples were on aesthetics and change. I believe it was well done. So I think it was well said. I like the fact that we're going down from 2 bedrooms to 1 bedroom. That's probably that tipped the scale. The roof change I'm not happy with, but as Mr. Frida said, it's aesthetically better. And that'd be a better situation. Chimney being eliminated and getting rid of the issue of the landing on the neighbor's property. That is a positive right there. So based on testimony, based on the application, we're going to have to make a motion to approve it with those changes as far as eliminating the landing encroachment, eliminating the chimney, change the roof line to 2 to 1 bedroom, and also as planned, come forward with the garage, make a 2-car garage.
Ms. Saracen?
Yes, I agree. Anytime we can reduce density and have parking.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes, and I agree with Chair Mayor. I think that coming into this, I wasn't hard no, but I think the design is very, very good. To beautify Dick's parking lot.
Ms. Riley, I already?
Yes.
Mr. Marco?
Yes, I think that the applicant did a really good job. We have these non-conforming lots that have 2 structures on them, and instead of letting them fall by the wayside, we have somebody here who's actually trying to make it not only just aesthetically pleasing, but is helping to improve parking in the neighborhood, and I got you so excited I threw my pen just then, and also helping to decrease density of the neighborhood, so I vote yes.
Ms. Brunel?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
I'm gonna vote yes. It's always nice to hear that someone's reducing density of upgrading property. I'm gonna vote yes.
And Chair Mayor?
Yes, it's all in the state.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rotate, congratulations.
They're gonna come up with that
Yeah.
application? You want to just raise that, drag them up and like that?
Let's move on.
Taking a real position.
A
A health break.
Health break. Yes.
My chair too, Kelly and I just went to, but that can be our secret.
Yeah. I know. So you started.
Brian made it.
They shorted me a chair, I'm sorry.
You want to go back the next day.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Jerry?
Didn't go, you didn't.
Like
chair replacement?
I was gonna say, I don't know that you'll get, I actually stole that, and not so much that part, yeah, I guess I have.
Right here, I have, so,
I know, and then
you
you.
can carry, but.
Good application of power wash. Thank you.
Anytime, so the next time we,
I'm not going to begin the call.
yeah.
Now do one.
Yeah,
Go on, do that, yeah.
You get another chair?
I should have had the ice cream really quick now, so you guys let me sit out, so I can place.
No, you.
What? So this is a public service announcement. This is Sapporo, Los Angeles. Oh, yeah, across the street. Holy Lord. You're like, I haven't even told her about it. I very bad at contact. I'm sorry, Christine. That's very bad at contact.
Let's call the meeting back to order, please. And Christie. Christie, you want to take a roll call?
Yes, I probably should. I'm just gonna do a quick roll call. Okay, Ms. Hernandez? Here. Mr. Marco? Present. Chair Mayor?
Here.
Mr. Shook?
Here.
Ms. Riley Iordi? Here. Ms. Saracine? Here. Ms. Brunel? Here. Ms. Boko? Here. Mr. Sexton? Ms. Reardon? Here. Thank you. Okay, our next application under consideration this evening is LUB 23/29, use and bulk variances for proposed expansion of non-conforming structures, uses. 215 Brindley Avenue LLC, Block 50, Lot 3, 215 Brindley Avenue. The applicant's proposing a first floor deck and interior renovations to the existing front dwelling. The applicant is also proposing improvements to their front dwelling, which include a new covered front entry on the west side and a new covered rear entry. Applicant is also proposing to reconfigure the units within the front dwelling. Applicant is represented by Richard B. Stone, Esquire.
Good evening. Again, my name is Richard Stone, and I'm representing the applicant, properties in the name of 215 Brindley Avenue, LLC, lot 50, lot 3, the R1 zone. I have several witnesses that will testify. Mr. Lieber is our engineer, Mr. Menino, our architect, Ms. Coffin, again, our planner, and of course, Mr. and Mrs. Carmen Seminary are here in case they have to field any questions. One of the things that has just been provided, you should have copies of this, but we have color renderings, color photographs of the property. They're up, but I have individual copies which I can get for that.
So, when we have Mr. Lieber, Mr. Menino, and Ms. Coughlin just come up, just swear them in. Mr. Lieber, Ms. Bell. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, we share. Dick, very well said.
Mr. Stone, I need one just to mark for the record.
You know, before we get started, I meant to do this before, but, you know, over the years, I've always joked with Ms. Bickert. She's always responsive, very helpful. Whenever I have a problem, she seems to help answer. So
Not gonna help.
I'd like to make it.
I don't vote, unfortunately.
But I want to tell you, you know, not everybody appreciates it, and I do.
Thank you.
You know, and when I'm the board attorney, I appreciate it. And before other boards, I appreciate it.
And she treats everyone
Yeah.
very well and very professional. Except me sometimes.
I was gonna say.
Well, yeah, but we can help you a little bit.
I asked for it.
Yeah. Anyhow, we'd like to get started, so I'm going to call my first witness, and that would be Mr. Menino, right? Okay. So would you please state your full name, tell us your business or profession, and provide the board with all of your licenses and your qualifications?
So John Menino, I'm principal and owner of Sermonero Architect. I have an active license in New Jersey as well as 5 other surrounding states. I presented in front of various boards in numerous states similar to this.
Because I moved Mr. Menino. Okay, so the way I like to get started with our engineer is to explain what is the site now, explain the area in which it's located, and then if you can address a couple of things. One, I think you received a copy of the letter from the board engineer. Okay, and you reviewed that, I hope? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about what's on the site and what is proposed.
So Brinley Avenue, I think everyone's familiar with that street running east-west, shore. The subject property is just a couple blocks from the beach. As it was noted before, there are 2 structures, 2 dwellings on one lot. I heard a little bit about that in the last application. The front structure consists of 2 dwellings, dwelling on the first floor and a dwelling on the second floor. Both have 2 bedrooms. And then the rear structure is a single story with 3 bedrooms. I believe the paperwork in the engineer's report incorrectly noted the rear structure as a 2-bedroom. It's actually a 3-bedroom unit in the back of the property. So there's a total of 7 bedrooms on the lot. Carmen and Suzanne purchased a home about 15 years ago and have been using it as their weekend and summer home. They're now looking to do, permanent move and make Bradley Beach their permanent residence and permanent home move from Boundbrook, New Jersey. So right now they've been using the second floor unit for themselves, but as they move down here and they're looking to really make better accommodations for themselves, utilize more of the first floor unit by repurposing existing rooms, reconfiguring the space, as well as expanding to the second floor just to provide the needs of their family and friends that come to visit, while maintaining the remainder of the second floor as a 1-bedroom unit And the rear cottage or the rear single-story structure would remain the same, unchanged. There are no expansions that are being proposed, no increase in living space. All the interior renovations are focused on the front structure. And I can walk through that.
When you refer to the diagram of exhibit, I believe, are they already pre-marked?
They're not pre-marked, but they were submitted as part of the packet, so the board has received.
Yeah, there's nothing new here, you've already received. I'll move this chair out of the way a little bit here. So there's two boards here in front of you. Down on the floor is two floor plans that represent the existing conditions of the front dwelling. Again, all the work that's being proposed as far as renovations and reconfigurations is only with the front structure, nothing with the rear structure. Up on the easel is the proposed renovations of the front. So as I stated earlier, the existing first floor consists of one dwelling unit with 2 bedrooms, and the second floor is another dwelling unit also with 2 bedrooms. The proposed renovations look to reconfigure the entirety of the first floor to provide for all new living, kitchen, dining space, as well as a master bedroom suite. So really a one-floor living.
Are the outside perimeter of the building being expanded upon?
No, the exterior perimeter stays exactly the way it is. There's no footprint expansion of any living space. The first floor living would then also expand to the second floor, utilizing some existing spaces that currently reside. One bedroom that is on the second floor now would be now occupied by the lower unit, and the living room that's upstairs now would be converted to another bedroom and another bathroom. So now the first floor unit is really one story and half of the second story. That is where the applicant would look to reside. The remainder of the back half of the second floor would stay as a one-bedroom unit, utilizing an existing kitchen, existing bathroom, and repurposing 2 other rooms for living space and bedroom. Again, no expansion beyond the exterior building footprint.
So the one-bedroom unit is going to be in the front of the house?
No, the one-bedroom unit is in the rear of the house.
So it's going to be in the rear of the house?
Yes. And it's accessed from the rear.
Because I want to emphasize, nothing on the interior is being increased in intensity.
No, no. So it's a shift of bedrooms. Right now you have 2 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms between 2 units. We're basically shifting to a 3-bedroom and a 1-bedroom. So the total number of bedrooms still remains 4.
But you still have 7.
On the whole lot, on this front building, there's 4 bedrooms.
And will there be any increase in bedrooms in the back of it?
No, again, there's no work proposed for the rear building.
Let's talk about the outside. Can you tell us what's on the outside of the building?
Yes. I believe this was up on the screen. It's kind of easier to talk through some real photos. So I believe you guys all received this as well. This is a before and after example of the exterior of the building, the main facade facing Brimley Avenue. It is really the northwest corner of the building. To your left is a real photo. This is a real photo that was taken by me. And the image on the right is a photo simulation. We built the house in a 3D digitally, so we can impose it within the photograph so you can see really as accurately as possibly can what this house would look like when the renovations are complete.
Could I ask Mr. Menino to go from the left photograph in the exhibit to the right photograph and explain what exists and what is proposed?
Of course. So again, this is the front facade that faces Brimley Avenue, which would be the northern facade. Currently, the lower tenant of the lower floor dwelling unit enters their unit through the front porch and through sliding doors. The front door is very kind of uninviting, unassuming, doesn't really offer much curb appeal or address to the street, just something that we're looking to address. There's a second floor covered deck that exists. And again, this blue door here is what would be the front door of the lower unit, but it is currently not being utilized as such. Down along the side, or the western side of the building that you can see in this photo, you see the existing elevated deck that is accessed from the second floor unit. And then there's just existing grass and patio on the lower floor on the western side. If you want, I can talk about the two other elevations, but I don't have photos of that. I can flip to the.
I want you to emphasize a bit as to the after.
Sure. So, in looking at the after photo, the biggest focus for the front is really the entry. Really trying to unify the front facade and give the front door presence to the street. Right now, the sidewalk leads to just a pair of wood steps that go right up to the door. What we're proposing is a small entry porch with a partial cover, really just over the door and the entry porch area itself for weather protection. And there is difficult to see here with the landscaping, there is a small walkway that connects the front door porch deck that we're creating to the existing deck. What that allows us to do is it allows us to eliminate the existing sidewalk and steps that access the front porch, reseeding that as grass, so now we're taking that sidewalk away, reseed that front area, and that's represented, I believe, on the site plan that was provided. So this really helps to unify the front facade and really address the street the way a house should to the front door.
By eliminating that walkway to the left, does that increase the pervious grass area? So it's removing?
Correct. So we're removing, I believe, about 35 square feet of walkway and steps, and that would now become grass space.
And let's talk about the overhang. There is an existing door and some stairs that lead there into that entranceway?
That's correct. Existing door, uncovered, unprotected, with just a couple of steps that go right up to the door, no landing on the other side, at the door.
Let's talk about what you proposed it's being proposed, an overhang and a couple of stairs.
Exactly, just a few, there's about a 4-foot deep deck area at the front door, so you have a safe place to access the front door. A partial covering, as you can see, it doesn't continue all the way across the front facade, because we do have an existing window that floods light into the stairwell, so we didn't want to impede in that. So it's a partial roof cover just over the front door and that main entry deck that we're creating, just to give you really a
Let
nice
me ask you about that new facade, that extension over the doorway. Does that interfere with any airlight or open space with any of the adjoining property owners?
No, not at all.
And can you take us into the back?
Yeah. Flip
Are
around.
you able to do that?
I don't have a model of that, but I do have the elevations that were submitted as part of it.
That's good, okay. We have those on the screen? All right, so can you explain the rear now? Tell us what is existing and what is proposed.
So difficult to see what's existing and proposed on the other two facades. It's kind of layered in one image. But if we go to the south facade, this is the south facade of the rear of the building. This is the existing door that would be utilized as the entry point for the upstairs dwelling. Okay? The only element that's really, there's two elements that are being proposed here. One is a small roof covering over the door. Again, there's no covering over the door, there's no protection from wet rain or snow as you access the door. And this is the front door for that other unit. The other element that is being kind of purposed a little bit is an outdoor shower. The house currently has an outdoor shower, but it's all plumbed and drained, but for some reason it's accessed from the internal rear stair at an intermediate landing. Bit odd. And where it's set up, it would lend itself perfectly to be accessed directly from the outside. So we would be looking to repurpose that outdoor shower and access from the outside. That would be in the rear of the house.
You're not adding an outdoor shower?
No.
You're remodeling?
Remodeling it and using it for what it was intended. That is really aside from new siding and new windows, that really is the extent of the rear facade work that is being proposed.
Are you changing the footprint?
No footprint changes
So
whatsoever.
therefore, whatever existing setbacks were there before, they will continue to exist, even if not conforming.
That's right. I'll touch on the east side, which faces the driveway. Really, there's, aside from new siding, new windows, there's no physical work proposed along the driveway side or the east side of the building. We flip to the west side of the building. That would be the right side of the photo image that we had provided earlier. That is where we are looking to extend a new deck from the new kitchen on the first floor to provide some outdoor space below the existing second floor deck. So it would match the footprint of the existing deck cover that's there, but it would be approximately 26 inches above grade below the upper deck. That is the extent of additional work being done on the west side.
I want to emphasize that. So if you go down to the photograph on the left-hand side, the deck is already existing. And if there is a setback variance that is already pre-existing.
That's correct.
And all that is being proposed is to duplicate the deck, but now on the ground.
That's correct. And in the photo, you can see the existing deck elevated. In the proposed photo simulation, you still see the existing deck. It's a little hard to see with the landscaping again, but you see the railing and the new deck below it. Again, it follows the same footprint as the deck above.
Does that affect the air light and open space of neighbors?
No, it does not.
And it doesn't expand beyond the second floor deck?
That's correct.
Anything further on that?
No, that's really the extent of the work that's being proposed.
That deck you just spoke about, what's the square footage of that?
I have 324.
What's the question, is square footage of
They're both the same. The existing upper deck. and
The existing upper deck is actually a little bit larger, and I'll explain the reason.
You're talking one on the west side or the one in front of the house?
That's the back side.
The west side. The west side, that's what I was gonna ask.
Is there anything
So the new first floor deck that's being proposed is approximately 234 square feet.
What do you have?
234.
I have 324.
It's 26 feet long, and it comes out 8 feet. It's 26 and a half feet long. 26.5 times 8 is 212. And then there's a small section here that only wraps the corner 2 feet. That's where it's not the same as the second floor. Where you're measuring is on the second floor.
Okay, I am measuring the second floor. I thought
Exactly.
the two mirrored each other.
Exactly, so they don't quite mirror each other because on the first floor, there's a set of Bilco doors that access the basement. So that the new decks fall short of the Bilco doors to
Got it.
provide that access.
I want to ask you a question about that. The first floor proposed deck, is that covering the grass area?
Partial grass and partial slate patio that
So
exists.
we're losing some impervious area on the first floor?
That is correct.
I want to offset that. Is there some concrete walkway in the back of the house?
There is.
And have you estimated that to be about approximately 150, 160 square feet?
It's about 153 square feet of some square footage that we could give back.
It's a lot.
Currently, what's being proposed is a net increase of 18 square feet of coverage.
But that's what I want to do. I want to explain that, because I'm sensitive to the fact that the boards are concerned about adding areas that are not permitted.
Right.
So if we're going to add 212 feet, if the board was so inclined to approve this application, would the applicant consider removing the concrete to offset that area?
Yes, definitely. And we can highlight the, if we can pull off the site plan, we can highlight where it's sidewalk we're talking about.
Is there any other area around the outside that you want to point to for the benefit of the board members?
No, everything else outside beyond what we discussed is existing. There's no other modifications being proposed.
Quick question, just to get to the upstairs unit, the one bedroom, you have to walk down the driveway to get back.
That's the entrance to the back.
And I'm going to have Ms. Crawford address this, but significantly the variances, almost all of them, they're existing, pre-existing?
That's correct.
Pre-existing non-conforming?
That's correct.
So we're not necessarily adding to them, we're just retaining.
That's correct.
All right, you guys lost me for a hot second, so help me. The only add that you're doing is the bottom deck, porch, whatever we want to call it, correct?
Beyond the footprint of the house?
Yes,
There's two decks. The front porch, right, to address the street,
correct.
and the one on the side that we just talked about here that is below the second floor.
Got it. So you're walking into this with the max coverage, correct? At 60%? Is that how?
That's, I have to look at the site plan. I
Okay,
believe.
and what you're proposing is to bring in from the current max of 60 to 74.1%.
I
Now,
have to look, I don't remember the numbers, and not, Mark is here, that he can
Okay,
talk about
sorry,
that.
I'll
If I
look
could,
at
I think the existing is like 73%.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Because that is not on here, but we had the same concern. So they're allowed 60.
They're already maxed
They're allowed
out,
60, they're already at 73.
and we're
right now.
asking for.
And they're adding 18 square feet because of the configuration of the roof over top of the front door.
Got it. So
So it's
basically,
really only 18 square feet that they're adding.
correct.
And that brought it to 74.
Right, but we do have the option to remove 153 square feet to help.
Right.
And I will represent to the board, if so inclined, the applicant would be happy to remove that.
Yeah, no, I heard that part, I just was trying to.
Yeah, just want you to know, we're not looking to push the application to its extreme, because we know that there's a balance.
Yeah, thank you. But we still is technically a 3-home property.
3 dwelling units on the property.
Right.
2 structures.
But nothing has, that condition will remain. It's not increasing from 2 to 3, from 1 to 3.
I get it. That's just the law, yeah.
And based on the definition, there is no expansion of width, height, livable
Yeah.
space. It's all remaining.
And you're not changing the amount of bedrooms.
Correct. Same number of
And we
bedrooms.
said it's 7 bedrooms or 6, because I think
Again, it's a total of 7. There was a-
7. There was a typo, that's what we thought,
Correct.
that's what we were talking about, okay.
Looking at the pictures you submitted, to get to the back house, you walk under the porch on the side.
You walk the driveway, down the driveway.
Driveway and same photographs.
You talking about the upstairs unit or the
Yeah.
rear cottage unit?
Talking about the rear cottage. Where's the drive?
The driveway is on the east side of the house, on the left side looking at the front.
Okay. So you walk that way.
I have a question. Those ballards that are, how wide is that driveway from the ballards?
I believe the site plan identifies dimension. From the house to the property line, it's 12.8 feet, and the bollards are approximately 1.5 feet off the wall, they're protecting the gas, if I remember correctly, it's the gas meter that's affected.
Can I point something out while we're on this topic? I know that there's an increase in the square footage that we're talking about, but I want you to appreciate the front porch. If you take a look at the before and after picture, there's normally like a little wooden step to the porch. And what's being added is a protective cover, which is something that Mr. Menino commented on. It does increase the size, but I want you to give consideration for the location and the purpose of that area. And then when you take the back, new bottom deck, and you offset that against the willingness to give up some impervious area, I would suggest, and I will suggest that it's imbalanced.
No, aesthetically, it's a vast improvement, that front porch, that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
The step of it.
I would hate for the application is going to be denied. It shouldn't be denied because there's a front small porch with a portico. And so I'm trying to say, right away, the applicant has, no, and I'm not sure he's happy with me now, but I'm telling you, I told him that there had to be a balance. I mean, if you want that front deck, we'll consider it, but you gotta give something up. And we're prepared to give that
No, I
up.
appreciate it, but you know, it is existing with that side two-story deck, that, right on the property line basically. That's pretty fugly, and, you know, it's.
I appreciate your athletic assessment.
Yes, it was, but the problem is, you're right on the property line, it wraps around to the back, and it's also in the backyard, second-story deck, which is prohibited in town. And that's another thing, if we have a second-story deck, it's prohibited. And we have, it's gonna wrap around, I know you're not really expanding, it already exists, but you're expanding it in the sense of the first floor wrapping around.
Like you're just enhancing the fact.
What would you like us to do? Would you?
Take it down.
Well, it's not gonna,
Oh, you got it. If you ask me what is that, take it down.
take down the second floor deck.
Take the second floor deck, bring it into performance.
And what about the first floor?
First floor deck, you can do it on the backyard, you can't do it on the sidewalk. That, if I have magic wand, that's what I do. But this is a two-family house with a cottage in the back, another family, and a single family zone. I don't know when this was converted from a single, this was obviously a single family house at one time. I used to live in Brindley, I have a feeling this was even predated me living.
Yeah, the main structure was built in 1924,
And it's just about.
I believe. And
Yeah.
then the cottage was built sometime between 57 and 63.
Yeah, see,
So
it's-
at that point, it may have been, yeah.
So we have existing, again, legacy zoning that where, okay, so we're stuck with, yeah, aesthetically, it's a vast improvement.
Yeah, because of the Bilko door access to the basement, there's really no way to build a deck out the rear. Plus, the first floor unit doesn't extend to the rear wall. If you notice, the rear of the house is for the second floor unit. That's where their stair and entry is. So it really doesn't engage that the back.
I'm surprised the neighbors haven't said anything regarding that second story porch right on the property line, looking into their house. I'm just curious, it's.
Oh, let's see if they're here.
We will, and we will.
What is your current parking situation?
There are 3 dedicated parking spaces in the back of the property, in between the structures.
Who uses those?
So it's.
Yeah, like how?
What's the utilization of that?
I'd have to defer to the applicant on how they get
Okay,
utilized.
because that's testimony I think we want to hear. Because you have the front door for the lower level, you have the back door for the upper apartment. But the upper apartment people aren't going to be parking back there. I see there's also access to the lower level through that back door as well.
Yeah, it's like a common entry foyer.
Right,
With a
so
stair.
you might need a little testimony on to how that's going to be used.
So I want to go back, if I may. The concern is the second floor deck, not necessarily the first floor deck.
First floor deck on the side of the property, that's a problem, that's right, it's property line. You can't have that. And you can have it on the back of the house, and you have a second, but you can't, but ordinance prohibits a second floor deck in the back of a house. And that's for, kind of overriding reasons for privacy, for the neighbors. You're sitting up there, you're looking over into people's backyards. It's unfair.
You're putting in an outdoor shower in an appropriate place for you guys now, but think about your neighbors who have an outdoor shower that's like rendered useless with that. I live in a situation like that, so I agree with that, they see what they say, but it's, you know, like it's a problem, you know what I mean, like, it's a problem, so that is kind of, I think.
Would a
part of the-
reduction of the second floor existing deck be a consideration if,
Elimination?
if the applicant were to consider that?
We're actually looking to
Eliminate it, a second floor deck.
Here's the dilemma.
I know.
There's a dilemma. It's there.
It's existing.
So let's assume, and again, I don't want to argue, I don't want to suggest, I'm trying to come with an answer. If all that was happening is that the interior of the house was being reconfigured, everything would remain the same.
You asked me what I want, I told you, I'm gonna give you the
That's okay.
blunt answer.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to the applicant, but I wanna make sure that I'm correct. If we withdrew the application, if we're not going to, and we were to remove the suggested areas that are being considered, and the applicant wanted to modify the interior of the house, not to increase the bedroom, but just to configure it, they wouldn't have to come back for the board off. So the second floor deck would remain where it is. Now, you're suggesting that if you want these other things, you gotta do something with the second floor deck. I'm gonna,
And this is done because you're, I'll tell you, people are really aware, you're here, so.
No, I know.
You're here, so we want the bite of the apple, that's what it's all about.
Isn't that why we come here all the time?
No, it's not.
So, okay, so may I have a couple of minutes?
You may, you may.
I just want, because if you're going down that way, then we might have to reconfigure the application, and I'm gonna explain to my clients
What the concerns are.
I understand. That's why I'm here. Give me a few minutes.
You got it. Okay, well, hold on one second.
I just want to make a comment before they go and talk so they can hear a little bit more. Okay. So if you were to consider redoing the upper deck, you have sliding glass doors that go up the side of the house. So they have to access the deck from the side of the house.
That's correct.
Okay, so they're gonna have to at least have a 3-foot wide deck on the side of the house because of the access point.
You're looking at the second, I think you're
I'm
looking
looking
at
at the second floor.
Right.
So if they redo the deck, it's gonna have to at least go 3 feet, I think. maybe
We have,
3.5.
we have an alternate to that.
Oh, you do? Okay. I wanna make sure that that was spoken of, because if the board would consider that, you need to know.
Yeah, we had, you know, we can consider, and I can talk to the applicant, on a way that we could reduce it while providing access and it wouldn't be from the side.
So you're doing a window and, okay. Got it.
That's good.
I just didn't want you to go in there and change.
Got it.
Two minute recess.
I should eat today. Period, I'm like fading fast. My protein shake, my cheese sticks, because they're all hard. Oh, no. Yeah, you think it's the other man.
What's your feeling with
It's keeping me awake.
Christie, what is July
Did a good job on that.
With the new gavel.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I don't know what the cross is.
That's No, I don't, I'd like to know what the discussion has been.
Hi, Mark.
Nice to see you.
That's what we were just discussing.
So, what are we looking at?
Having as much, like, in my office and not hearing.
Oh, yeah, I can go with it. That's actually not a bad idea.
Get a new chair.
Yeah, we have a
12? Is that what it is?
The 18th.
The 18th.
Oh, yeah.
It's the third Thursday.
But right now,
Yeah.
the last 3 months are my longer.
Because of the fourth?
Yeah.
Because of the holiday. Got it.
Oh, no, we always do. We always do the first Thursday.
Okay, got it. And just one meeting. Spring Lake Heights. Sometimes, okay, yeah, no, okay, okay. You know, this is my 4th meeting this week, so. I know, yeah. I was hoping to just start with the owner, but.
All right, we give up.
One second.
Hold on, we all
One
have to
second,
be-
Mr.
So
Stone.
the 18th, the next 18th, I could meet the 18th, maybe, but not after.
I'm going to make some suggestions and then ask it as a carrot, because we're going to.
Thank you.
Hold on.
We're not even recording here.
We need to call, roll call.
Who's missing?
Nobody's missing.
Gang's
Gang's all here.
No, we want to be a little courtesy, this next application, it's already 9:30.
Well,
Yeah, we need to,
okay, but I have a thought, let me know.
actually, that won't be over in a half. But,
You ready?
we're ready.
So I'm going to defer to Mr. Menino. He's got a couple of thoughts he'd like to throw out, see see what kind of reaction we get. We're inclined to make some modifications. We don't think that those changes are things that we can just address and comment by resolution. I mean, you're entitled to see what we have to, but I want him to explain to you what it is that we're thinking about doing. We've conferred with Allison, of course, and as well as the architect. So let him tell you what he's going to do, and then I would ask, when is the meeting in July?
18.
What did you say, the 18th?
18.
So why don't you make your suggestion?
So following up from Gerald's quick comment before we took a short break, one thing that we have discussed and considering, and I'm going to mark up the exhibit on here just for clarity, in discussion of the existing second floor deck, okay? Complete removal is not really something that applicant is really considering. However, we could certainly look at a reduction of the deck where it would be confined by the walls, the extent of the building perimeter. This is the existing exterior wall. This is the existing exterior wall. We can remove the deck and confine it to this area, and in doing so, we would repurpose a window opening for a door to still permit a smaller, roughly 10 by 10 deck off the rear of the building confined by these two sides. That would eliminate approximately 212 square feet of the existing second floor deck. We would still look to maintain the lower floor deck that's being proposed, really because a deck allows you easy access in and out from kitchen to outside space, and as we all get older, it certainly makes it easier rather than considering the existing patio that's currently there and having to build stoops that walk down to the patio approximately, 2.5 feet. So that is one thing that we would like to try to retain. There may be some option in length of the deck if that's a consideration, but that's certainly something that we want to try to maintain, to have that more direct flow.
Well, I'm not gonna say yes or no, you know what I'm saying? We can't.
I understand.
We can't negotiate the changes. But you're on the right track.
We're on the right track. So what I'm asking you to do is carry this until the 18th, if that's possible. We will get a modified plan, board title, and we'll come back and keep trying to figure out how to do it.
No, I think you're on the right track, so you should be fairly.
And of course, I'll give any notice required.
Is July 18th available?
Well, we were just looking at the schedule. There are 2 applications currently scheduled. I don't know.
And it will be full before that.
Right. Correct. And we can't even get through 2, so.
Because the next application will not be finished yet.
I should just point out to you that if the case carries, which it may to order, I'll be fly fishing in Montana. So I won't be at that application. But can I ask Christie to leave it on for the 18th? Maybe somebody will adjourn one, and we'll wait it out. In the meantime, you'll have time to take a look at a revised plan. Is that fair enough?
All right, so we'll start to July 18th with no further notice.
No further notice.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
So we make a motion.
Make a motion to carry this application to July 18th.
I'll second.
Was that you, Meredith?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
It was like the photo.
Good night, everybody. 50 cents.
You're welcome. Have a good night. I don't know what the end result was on the.
All right, Christie, we
is he coming up to ask for the?
Yeah.
Mr. Akins? Please, let's proceed. No. Got the other- It's gonna be, no,
Just want to have a few words from the owner.
Sure.
Okay, so our next application, LUB 24/02. This is a use variance in both variances to reconstruct a second principal structure which had been damaged by fire. Dennis Zimmerberg and McDonough, block 18, lot 21, 516 Park Place Avenue. Applicants are proposing to reconstruct a fire damaged non-conforming structure requiring variances for the second principal use of the lot. Front yard setback, side yard setback, rear yard setback, and on-street parking requirements. The applicant is represented by Mark Akins, Esquire.
Thank you, Chairman, board members, Mark Akins on behalf of the applicant. Before I begin, Mr. Kitchen could just kindly confirm that my service by publication certified mail is adequate, or may retain jurisdiction.
And the board can accept your.
Thank you, Mr. Kitchen. Chairman, board members, Mark Akins on behalf of the applicants Dennis and Roberta McDonough. I know the hour is late, and my goal here is to provide a brief introduction and perhaps a little testimony from Mr. McDonough as the homeowner for what he experienced, and probably what is the most unfortunate set of circumstances that can befall any owner that I've seen for 40 years of practice. I don't have quite the gray hair that Mr. Stone has, but I'm close. I'm doing my best to close it. By way of that brief history, Chairman, board members, this application is to restore to the exact same dimensions and use a second principal residence above the two-car garage, which existed at this property since the early 1900s. So more than 120 years of two uses at this property. Unfortunately, the second floor of the rear structure was damaged by fire early last year in 2023. The owner's insurance company brought in a licensed contractor who advised the owners that everything was in place to rebuild until it wasn't. The owners relied on the licensed contractor to do the right thing, but this did not happen. And construction proceeded to the point where the entire second story was restored except for interior sheetrock and final electric, plumbing, and HVAC when a stop work order was issued. Needless to say, my client was shocked. You'll hear his testimony to confirm the veracity of what I've just represented to the board. And then we can talk a little bit further about where he thinks we might be able to go. We have a planner with us this evening, but I don't think it's realistic to begin that planner's testimony, Chairman. So we'll stipulate to that with the board's indulgence. If I could just have a few minutes to bring up Mr. McDonough and have him tell the tale that he has lived in the last year or so.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members.
Please where you and all of our professionals. Hey, Richard. Good night. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth tonight. Proceed.
I do.
Good evening, Mr. McDonough. Can you advise the board whether you are the owner of the property that's the subject of this application?
Yes, I am. My wife and I.
And how long have you owned the property?
We purchased the property in August of 2001.
2001. So just about 23 years or so. And when you purchased the property, can you describe for the board what the condition of the second building, the rear building of the property, the one that has the frontage on Hammond, right, at the corner of Hammond and Park Place? Can you describe for the board the condition of the house and whether there were any tenants in it when you bought in 2001?
When we bought the property in 2001, we intended to live in the front house. The back apartment, two-bedroom apartment, was rented by a former teacher and her husband started somewhere in the vicinity of the dryer. The tenant acknowledged that he had gone out and left the dryer and put it on just before going out. The fire marshal determined that the fire started somewhere right in that vicinity.
What happened after the fire, besides the tenants moving out?
After the fire, I contacted Steve Lasacco, the construction code official in Bradley Beach. 2 days after the fire, he only works Tuesdays and Thursdays part-time, at least that week we did. Steve advised me to contact Donna Barr in the community development office, zoning office. I sent Donna an email on March 22nd, informing her of the fire and that I had spoken to Steve Lasacco. He advised me to appraise her the situation, and I asked her what we needed to do to rebuild the apartment. First floor garage level was not affected by the fire, but the second floor apartment level was. She responded immediately saying we needed to submit architectural drawings, a survey, a zoning application for permit, and a $45 fee. We responded to her, thanking her for that, and advised her that it was our intention to rebuild on the existing footprint of the garage apartment.
When you say the footprint, you mean above the first floor, which was unscathed by the fire?
That's correct, yes.
And can you describe at that time, and to the extent it may have changed, what the first floor of the, I don't want to use the word garage apartment because that's not the correct terminology, and not to correct you, but we're going to call it the rear structure, if we could, please. So what, at the time of the fire in March of 2023, and continuing today, what's inside the first floor of the rear second building?
The first floor contains a two-car garage. In the back of that is a utility room where the heating system and a hot water tank for the garage apartment were. And then there was also a side porch, second level porch.
No bathroom in that first floor?
No, there was not.
No kitchen or cooking facilities?
None, no.
And you never leased, or your predecessor never leased any portion of that for habitation purposes to the tenant that lived there prior to your ownership and right through the fire?
No, the tenant actually had use of the garage. He was an avid fisherman, probably had 100 fishing poles, and he was also a little bit of a hoarder, which he would readily acknowledge. And so he had full use of the garage in addition to.
But there was no habitation on the first floor?
No habitation there at all.
Right. So you were advised about, needing architecturals and needing a zoning permit, needing a building permit. What happened then?
I had also, in addition to contacting Steve, I had contacted New Jersey Manufacturers, our homeowners insurance company. They came down on the same day, in fact, March 22nd. And when they called me and said they would be coming, they said they're bringing a builder with me. I assumed they were bringing a builder as an advisor as to what could be saved and what could, should be removed. They went through the garage apartment.
When you say they,
The New Jersey Manufacturers representative and the builder, Joe Regan of A. Molly Construction, that he brought with him. At the end of viewing the garage apartment, they recommended that it should be removed down to the subflooring level of the garage.
Some walls remained on the second
there
floor after
was-
the fire?
Yes, there were walls that probably could have been salvaged. The entire side of the house, the second floor apartment was not damaged, but it was constructed in 1902, so it was constructed under, I would say, less than desirable construction standards, so everything that was in there was from 1902.
It's 120 years old.
Right, was not insulated. It was not 2x6 construction, it was not, certainly not done back then. At the end of viewing that, the insurance agent, at that point, said, Molly Construction can take care of all of this for you, from the demolition of the upper level to its reconstruction. That same day, I got a very quick response.
Pardon the interruption. And did they indicate if Molly was a licensed contractor at that
Yes.
time? Okay.
Yes, they did.
So you thought that you were dealing with a licensed contractor through the insurance company?
Correct.
Okay.
They also said that Molly was one of their most preferred contractors, and they strongly encouraged us to hire them. We did actually consult with one other contractor, and he declined to submit a full bid. So we did engage Molly Construction. Firstly, we had received a letter from the construction office saying you need to secure the premises, and if not, demolish it by June 9th.
Of 2020.
Of 2023. That day, Molly Construction, we agreed that they would come over and secure the building. They actually had people over there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day. They closed up, boarded up all the windows and all the doors, and put a tarp over the entire structure.
So, to your way of thinking, Molly had secured it consistent with what was required by the borough's official?
To the best we could determine, I also notified Steve Sacco at that time that the building had been secured, and he said, I'll try and get over there and take a look at it. If there's any issues, I will let you know.
Okay. And then what happened?
Subsequently, a week later, after not finding any other contractors who were interested in submitting a bid, and strongly encouraged by our homeowners insurance,
New Jersey manufacturers.
New Jersey manufacturers, that Molly Construction was one of their most preferred contractors who could take care of everything, and if there were any issues because of their relationship with our insurer, they would have no trouble getting them approved. Subsequently, the week after the fire, we did contract with Molly Construction for the reconstruction of the garage. Following Donna Barr's, instructions, we went to an architect. We met with him several times to draw up the plans for rebuilding the second level of apartment with the same specifications, same 2-bedroom as had previously existed, same height, because it's on the existing footprint. All the previous non-conforming setback requirements would still be in place.
So your charge to the architect was design it the way it was so that the contractor can build it the way it was?
Essentially, yes. We made minor modifications inside, but not with regard to try and open it up, make it a little more livable space. It was constructed with a closed wall with just a small opening between the kitchen dining into the living room. The living room was small, the bathroom was small, and we made some tweaks in the size of those rooms to make the living room more livable. But everything else, the square footage and everything else remained exactly the same.
Thank you. Now, did Molly say to you, Mr. McDonough, we expect you to file for the zoning permit, and we expect you to file for the building permit?
No. After meeting with the architect, Molly submitted all the specified documents that Donna Barr had. The building plans, the survey, the zoning application, and the fee.
So
they submitted all of that to Donna Barr's office.
So is it fair to say that it was your complete expectation, without any exception, that Molly was to get any and all necessary permits? Zoning, demolition, construction, any permit that was required to restore this consistent with the insurance proceeds that were coming your way through New Jersey manufacturers was the responsibility of the contractor and not you as the owner?
Yes, absolutely. That was our full expectation.
And then what happened after that?
Well, All of those things were submitted to Don Barr's office, I'll say around the 10th of May. We did not hear anything, but Joe Regan of A. Molly Construction was talking to Don Barr's office. He was also talking to Steve Lasacco's office. He called us in mid-July and says, we're going to remove the upper structure next week.
When you say he called you,
Joe Regan of A. Molly Construction.
Thank you.
Called and said, next week we're going to demolish the upper level apartment, and the following week we will start the rebuild. Which they did. And so they demolished the garage, took them 4 days to demolish the upper level. They did do a very nice job, very carefully, not to impact on the neighbors. The following week, they started framing, and through August, September, October, November, they framed, they put the roof on, they sheathed the building, they put the windows in, and they sided the building. The end of November, I get a call in the evening from Steve Lasacco asking me what is the status of the rebuild of the garage apartment. And I explained to him where we are. He says, well, what do you mean you're halfway through construction and you haven't gotten any permits yet? I said, what do you mean we haven't gotten any permits yet? All of the things were submitted by our contractor, and he was responsible for that. I said, you're saying there's no permits? We later, and he said, no, there aren't any permits have been issued, not zoning, not building, nothing. It turns out that the package, as Don Barr had specified, had been submitted in approximately May 10th. The end of November, Don Barr's office called Joe Regan of A. Molly Construction and said, you submitted one, this is according to Joe Regan, you submitted one permit application for demolition and reconstruction. You need to submit a separate application for reconstruction. He delivered a separate permit application the next day, the end of November, and Don Barr's office turned around within 24 hours and denied reconstruction.
and at that point, what happened with regard to the issuance of the stop work order?
At that point, during that phone conversation with Steve Lasacco, that evening conversation, he actually dialed in Joe Regan from A. Molly Construction and asked Joe, how could you proceed without any permits in hand?
The $64,000 question?
And Joe Regan's response was, well, he had this arrangement in other towns that he works in, and A. Molly Construction is based out of Toms River, so in Toms River and other Ocean County towns, his explanation was once he has submitted all of the permits, they're okay with him.
Did you find that explanation acceptable?
I did not, neither did Steve Lasacco.
And did you call me shortly thereafter?
Yes, we did.
And did we begin the process of applying for this board here?
Yes, we did.
Chairman, board members, that's probably an appropriate time to stop the direct examination.
That's what I tell.
That's all I can say. You're telling me.
So, just before we work stop. So you're telling me this is all done?
Yes, sir.
It's closed in. It's all done to the point of being closed in. It's not insulated. It's not any sheetrock.
Interior walls are in position?
Oh, no.
So it's just
But
basically square?
But it's all closed in, and electric, plumbing, and HVAC are roughed in.
So I have a question. Did you have a sheathing inspection?
No, I learned that night on the call with Steve Lasacco that, well, if you're that far along, you would have had to have had a sheathing inspection.
That's what I'm asking.
I only learned that evening.
So you had no inspection on framing or sheathing, nothing?
No.
As I shared in my opening remarks, the McDonoughs relied on the licensed contractor who was recommended by their insurance company. They relied, as any homeowner would. Any homeowner who's perhaps not a land use attorney, or doesn't have years of experience, and is just a homeowner.
Before we close, what was the date that you started this application?
For variance?
Yeah.
I filed the application in February,
Okay.
in January or February of this year.
Okay.
Ms. Bickert, I'm sure will correct me if I'm mistaken.
February 1st.
February 1st, yes, ma'am.
And then it was,
We-
it had
we
been
moved-
incomplete for something minor. You sent us a letter of explanation.
Yes.
There was something that was
Yes,
missing.
so there's no site plan because we were rebuilding in place, and I had a conversation with Mr.
Right.
Fried's office to ask his consideration if we could perhaps avoid a site plan, since we were not proposing any site improvements, and we were not adding 1 square inch to the exterior of the building or doing anything other than what has existed for the 120 years that this structure was there. That was a conversation I had with Mr. Fried. So that was the reason for the
Yes.
initial incompleteness, but then there was a determination made that, no, we wouldn't need site plans because we weren't doing anything to the site. All we were doing was building the second floor to restore what had been there, thinking that the professionals had gotten the permits the way, by law, they're supposed to do.
Anything done to the garage?
Anything done to the garage?
Painted, that was all. Well, new garage doors were put on because the fire department got through the garage doors.
There's no demolition work.
Now, the whole complexion of this application changed based on the story. It's
So-
not what it appeared to be.
So, understood. So with that, I'm grateful, Chairman and board members, for the opportunity to have Mr. McDonough testify, as difficult as that has been to relive this chapter. But you can understand that, to my way of thinking, I've practiced law for 40 years. The McDonoughs have been very diligent. Once they learned the predicament that they were in, they immediately sought counsel. I've advised them since the beginning of this year, and this is how we find ourselves here, you know, on this June evening.
I know you're asking a question there. It's a legitimate question, and the reality is, what can we do? There's nothing for us to question, because I guarantee you, we're all thinking the same thing: tear it down and turn it into a single-family conforming structure. That's all built. It's all done. And everybody's got a little finger in this dike. You know, everybody's complicit here. The town, in a sense, the insurance company, I guess, no mascots doesn't matter. It's you know, I'm just saying, in this A mall, whatever, there's a whole bunch of incompetence here. The put here are sitting here telling us this is Taylor Low, and what are we supposed to do? Say rip it down now? Like, what more testimony is going to change anything? Nothing's going to change. You have a planner. What's he going to tell us? This is the year for 1902, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you've already built the thing. The building is done. It's just going to be just wasting your time, our time.
If you'd like his proofs, I could put his proofs on briefly. If you don't feel you need them.
What proofs, in a sense?
So the use with the fire, the use, the second residential use of the property, right, ended. So if we're restoring that, technically you need a D1 variance. I'm sure Mr. Kittredge would agree with me.
Yeah, but it's also, it's a 5,000 square foot lot, right? So
Right, it's non-conforming all the way around.
Right, so that's why I asked when.
Right. But at the end of the day, yes, Chairman, we would be restoring something that existed identically for the last 120 years. Yes, that's the takeaway, right?
Moving down that path, basically saying, no, take it down, start over. And there's no, that's something that's pretty ugly. I don't know.
So that's up to the board to decide, and I think that would be a pretty harsh result.
I agree, that's what I'm saying.
Pretty harsh result. That being said, I think for the protection of the proofs have to be put in.
Okay, so let's go through the motion next meeting, get it done.
And I agree.
All right.
I would never give up the chance to put proofs in where proofs should be put in.
Then let's just,
I think that's the reason, and
No, they have to.
we've been in these situations
Yes.
before, and it's for everybody.
Right, if there's any type of legal challenge, they need to have the appropriate proofs on them.
right, because it sounds like it's a recourse against somebody here.
And it's probably a little late, that's why I was saying to get those proofs in.
So-
It's 9:58, I know you stopped.
My only suggestion would be, Mr. McDonough testified, we don't know if he has a need for him to testify next meeting, so I would suggest we open up the public for any questions of Mr. McDonough, just to close that.
All right. Mr. Cohen, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. Mr. McDonough?
Yes.
Did you increase the floor area of this property?
No, it's exactly what was
Great. And then, did you, let's see, so it is what was previously there, is the floor area that you have?
correct.
Are you familiar with ordinance 450-12, item B1?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay,
Thanks so much.
I
I'm familiar
appreciate
with it.
This is the revised.
Yes, I'm familiar with it.
You,
I think that's gonna be part of.
Right, that would be the planner's case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does he have the right to bring that over to the applicant? First of all, the audience?
Well, I would ask Mr. Cohen that he defer any questions with regard to the borough's code, particularly the zoning ordinance, to my planner, who is properly prepared to address that.
all right,
Thank you.
you want to resubmit that next time?
Oh, sure, I'll take that.
Take that.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
No questions, close the app. Yeah.
Then we need a motion to carry till July 18th.
No further notice.
Motion to carry to July 18th. Need a second? Please. Second. All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Everyone enjoy the start of summer.
Thank you. We'll take a adjournment. Thank you. Motion for adjournment.
Aye.
Thank you all. Yeah, I'm back. No, 18.
On the 18th.
The 18th.
Yeah.
I know,
I thought he was being excused, that's why we opened the question.
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, maybe they'll do it.
Good night, all. Mark, we'll see you. When do we have? Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go back to my office first. No, drop it.